I caught a lot of heat about the hot sauce topic.
What was it again?
Oh, that I was worried about the out-of-towners down.
This is a production of Darn TV.
There we are, back for another episode of the Dirt Weekly.
Hello.
Do your voices feel refreshed after a month of not doing an episode?
My hard drive is full.
Well, I wouldn't say it was relaxing. I would just say we haven't done it. So,
You
been a
know,
lot of racing.
oh man, so we did one. I think it was the Thursday or Friday before the Mod Tour. Kind of previewed the Mod Tour, recap the 5-day weekend we had, and then I take off on the Mod Tour. So no Dirt Weekly that week, which the Mod Tour was a lot of fun. And then I take off to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
In the matter of 2 weeks, we drove about 49 hours, I figured out.
At 120, that's a lot of miles. 120 mile an hour,
Yeah.
that's a lot of miles.
It's crazy.
And
Yeah.
at 70 it is
70.
too.
It's
So, okay.
back
You're
and
going the
forth
speed limit, all right.
around the state, then back and hit Estevan.
So all that driving primed you for your hopping back in.
It appeared. Yeah.
So if the 120 is correct, that's what did it.
That's what did it. Yeah, that was fun.
So anybody else up for a road trip before a race weekend or what?
Well, if the results are that promising, I am. So, you and Katie don't get rusty. That's
Yeah.
impressive. So,
Show rundown on the left side, again brought to you by Sebo Motorsport, specializing in high-performance parts and chassis repair. Call Ryan at 701-720-3889 for all your hot rod and racing needs. Thank you, Ryan, again.
yeah, thank you, Ryan. You've been busy.
Been busy.
Yeah.
I believe Max has a doctor's appointment over at Ryan's tomorrow night.
Well, it's almost time to go back to school, so you got to get your physicals in.
Yep.
So
Got to get the old
there he is. 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Set the
tomorrow, he
alarm.
says.
So if school,
Craig, he won't be into work.
if school is almost back in session, the school needs to be put back together.
Yeah.
Well, ooh.
Meaning the racetrack. I was at the Brad Paisley concert on Saturday night while you guys were playing in
Oh,
Williston.
he sent us a picture, I think. He sent us
Yes.
turn one looks a little rough or something.
Yeah, okay, right.
little
right.
dicey on entry with that big dirt pile there.
Well, maybe it was ready for motocross.
I've had some we can touch on all this. I mean, we can go all the way back, start with Mod Tour, but it's been kind of a weird year. Me not being president, not having to be down at the track every single day to kind of manage the track out, the track in. I didn't even step foot on the fairgrounds during the fair.
No opinion, no voice heard.
I by choice. I don't have time. I don't have time to go down and
You guys were busy in Indianapolis for sure.
yeah. So we'll go back to the beginning. Where did we leave off? The Mod Tour.
We're going into the Dakota Modified Classic.
Yep, and my hot sauce topic, I was really concerned about our local boys being able to compete with maybe some out-of-towners that were going to be swinging on in. Turns out my worries were worthless because our boys swung hard.
They came to play.
Yeah. You know, and we were getting a good showing of that leading up to it. I mean, we'd been following Travis pretty good and Aaron and they were ready.
And
I was excited.
Jordan, you made a strong point to go on record and say Cody Schlope is the real dog.
The real deal.
And he was a barking up in Estevan.
Yeah, boy. He had a straightaway on him when it was all said and done. Cody wasn't getting the kudos that he had coming, and he's real. So I was excited for Cody. I won at his home track, and Travis was able to put together one down in Mandan, maybe out of his normal weekly track prep program, if you will, but he ready for anything. I was proud of those guys.
If you start out in Jamestown, a little bit of a rain shower came in before the races. I remember sitting there, rained a little bit. That Mother Nature watering a racetrack is always preferred. I mean,
man, my favorite. Adam texted me, "You should be here." I'm like, I should be.
Yeah. The track had some moisture. The track had some character. It put on a really good show.
Had some speed.
And the stock cars, them Fargo boys, Trent Greger and Rob Van Mill.
Man,
they are fast.
Yeah, all week long.
Mm-hmm. Kind of the story of the week is stock car. Sean Strand, Mark Dahl were going to share the stock car ride.
Mm-hmm.
B Main, I think, action, and Sean Strand tears up a modified.
Tears up his modified, yeah.
So then that puts Sean in the stock car the rest of the week. I seen.
I thought it was neat that they were able to make that adjustment and stay in the hunt in the show.
So much so that he said that the car had to go back to Rage to be reworked.
Yeah, had to have some front end work done on it. Yeah, looked like he'd gotten it back, and he since has raced in Mandan. But well, I mean, that's just the challenges of race cars. I mean, we bruise them up, and that's one thing. But when it gets serious and they gotta go back to the factory and get the tune up, that becomes logistical. Then you gotta get the car there. You gotta wait for it and bring it home. And
I rewatched that incident many times to see if he could see some foreshadowing of maybe how to. I mean, he's just doing his thing. I imagine everything's feeling good, and all of a sudden the car stops, dumps down, and the other guy checks up, and he's got nowhere to go.
Yeah, it comes up so fast, and there's a portion of the corner that you're coming off of every time, 2 and 4. There's just a spot where you really are defenseless. I mean, you're leaned over, you're side biting, you're forward biting. The roof is down over your right side view somewhat, and you're just vulnerable there for a split second, and that's what got Marcus earlier in the year. I know Wayne had also gotten a similar situation like that in Jamestown, and it's just a vulnerable spot, and it's twice a lap.
And then Sean Strand realizes the mod's done for the night for the tour, hops in the stock, and I think it was the A that he was almost in the exact same spot, 3 and 4, and a car dumps in front of him, and it looked like he was going to just T-bone the guy exactly like the modified. No coincidence. He's like, I'm done for the night. We're going to just park this hot rod and live to fight another day.
Yeah, let's get a night of sleep and reset. Huh?
But Wayne Johnson, you were down there with your camera and got a great shot of it. I think Wayne's mod might have had all 4 tires off the ground from the hit that he took.
Was able to catch up with him in Williston and whatnot. He said he'd been working on it for 2 weeks. He said it tore up the rear end really good and got his suspension brackets and stuff like that. It wasn't something that he had to do a complete frame deal on, but the modifieds are busy, and Wayne's thorough on making sure everything measures right. And you got your day job, and then you're trying to do this in the evening. It don't take long for 2 weeks of nights to go by, and you're still trying to fix it. So yeah.
Trenton Greger, Rob Van Mill, battling out. Rob Van Mill, his worst finish the whole tour was 3rd. That's impressive.
Well, and that's what leads to the championship. Yeah. I mean, like I say, just strong.
And the only repeat winner. He won twice.
Right. Yeah. Trent had troubles on the last night, it looked like.
Lost a motor.
Broke a motor on the last night.
Yeah. Leading. Doing what he needed to do to try to put pressure on the championship, and he broke a motor leading. Yep. There isn't a good time to lose one, but that's a really bad time to lose one.
Yeah.
But
well said.
And then back to Jamestown, we've been talking about this a lot on our show about the slide job and how the slide job has so negatively impacted the guy who gets slid upon. And so if I could draw reference to Cody Laney and Strickler puts the slider on Cody Laney, and they really get into it, bust up stuff, right? And I think the slider it wrecked Strickler. He was done for the night, but it took Cody Laney out like he was really a non-factor the rest of the tour.
And I apologize for not catching up on all the video catch-ups. Been busy myself, but yeah, Cody was quiet after that. Cody Laney was quiet after that, and
He was running second, and when they got into it, it was like a gift from the gods for Travis Hagen. It was like, come on through, sir.
Yeah, the seas parted and Trav just goes right through. Which kind of set the tone for the whole week, because Trav was up there the whole week, and Tim Ward, and at that point, there was one car. It was super hard to read the number on it. It looked like another car out there. I couldn't figure out who it was. It took me till like night 3 to realize there was a number 127 of Drew Jansen out there. I've never heard of him until this week. I went to Super Nationals several times. I never heard of him at Super Nationals. The guy came out of nowhere and was a factor in the top 5, not every night, but on quite a few nights.
Running good at Nodak.
Running really good at Nodak.
And, I was taking note of that, too. Like you, I didn't recognize the name. But it looked like he is an accomplished racer. So,
and by the end of the week, there was another gentleman.
You're right. His car did look like somebody else. I kept confusing. It was red and white.
Yeah, it was red and white.
I can't think of who. Because he had a solid red door on it. He must have got tore up. He had a red side on one side and a red and white side on the other side. True badges of the tour.
But it's fun to see them guys come, like a Drew Jansen. And then at the end of the week, there was a gentleman. I think he finished close to top 5 in points. I'm not 100% sure. If I look this up here.
Good fortune, good luck. It just seems like you need that so much. Jerry Filippo, 13.
Yeah.
Yep.
He won his B main in Minot at Nodak, and my goodness, did he look fast in Minot. But he just, he won in Dickinson.
He won in Dickinson.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
But he just couldn't,
You're right, the fortune, the track placement, as the NASCAR guys say, they want to have track placement more so than a fresh set of tires sometimes, because being in the top 5 with old tires has, got an advantage over, being 18th with new tires. I mean, there's a big gamble there. I thought Filippo was extremely fast in that B main, and like you say, he was able to find victory circle there in Dickinson. Real deal. He was the real deal. He was fast. Not as lucky as he wanted to be, but
which
that's what
camp?
the tour is.
Which camp was he a part of? The Eldorado camp?
Oh,
I don't know on car.
good call on that. I
Out of
don't
California.
know.
Or was it the Precision camp? The Performer camp? All week long, I had the fortune. I went on the tour. IMCA TV is a blessing to myself, my whole family. We get to take in the whole tour. It's a vacation. It's a lot of fun. But to see the groups that park together, you had the Eldorado group. You had the Performer group. You had the, there was little groups all around, and it was kind of neat to.
It's an important stage. I mean, tour championships matter to the car builder, to the racer, to.
Some guys were getting
it's a big
shocks,
platform.
Shocks rebuilt right in the middle of the tour. And then where were we at? Where did we show up to?
I got a few tuned up myself. So
was it Williston that we showed up to? And then Weir's Machine was there in Williston. Weir's Machine showed right up to the Williston. We got rained out, but he showed right up to the Williston.
Brought the
Basis
big
Speedway.
truck?
Yeah, and they were building parts and taking parts apart, and guys were going in and out of there. And I seen a bunch of them in Dickinson go in and out of there at different times. So. It's kind of cool to have all that. It's rough week for some, fun week for all.
Again, our locals that were doing good before the tour definitely had some highlights. Going to reflect on Travis again. He had one subpar night, and that's what hurt him. If anything hurt him, and at the same time he turned around and won his first Dakota Classic Modified feature the next night. So I mean, it's not that anything was wrong. That's just the way it ended in Dickinson for him. And then to bounce back and win Mandan, I thought he did everything he could do. He won the last night. He was second in points. Again, I think the kid he's just tenacious. He just doesn't stop.
Jamestown,
and it's rewarding for him.
Tim Ward got it. Travis got second. It was a good race. Sound like a homer on this one probably, but that Nodak race with Travis starting out front, Tom Berry Jr. running him down, but Travis, that was a great race. I mean, that was
what a measurement. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was. That was a measurement there.
Going through traffic. I mean, that was fun.
It really came down to that. The first guy through was paying the price because the second guy got to ride at the cars that were getting lapped were sportsmen enough to know that the field was coming. So they were trying not to be a factor in it. But the first car in, nobody knows who's on first at the moment. So that first car through.
But there you go.
Then,
Good
then
fortune
Tom
again.
got him.
I think Travis did get a little bit of lap traffic, got in his way and slowed him up and gave Tom an opportunity. I don't know. It was good. That was probably my favorite feature of.
It was good. It was good. And we watched Travis just capitalize on lap traffic on a weekly show locally. I mean, he's really good. To see him, if you will, lose it in lap traffic was maybe somewhat of a surprise. By no means any dingers to him. It just, like you say, everything's at speed, fortune, luck, just the way the cars are, the way the competition's responding to, you giving a sighting and stuff like that. It was a good feature. It really was.
And I think nobody likes rubber on a racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to. I look at it this way.
Or at least get 2 lanes of it.
Well, here's the way I see it. You're rolling 100+ cars.
Yeah.
All high horsepower. You're trying to prep a track. It's 90 degrees out. You're gonna get what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
And when that track cleans off, if it took rubber halfway through that 30-lap feature, that's 15 laps of rubber.
Yeah.
You know what? You're gonna see who can manage their tires the best. It adds another element to the race, is all I'm saying.
It does, and it might be part of the setup that doesn't show up early in the race. With that said, there's just some hardcore factors that are never going to change. North Dakota's got late sunsets at this time, and so that's never going to change. And you're right, tire management is part of the game. I would like to see 2 lanes of rubber come in, and I don't know how you do that, especially when it comes in late, because it's always going to be up high, it appears. So
middle to high.
Middle to high, yeah, momentum.
And Tom Barry, because of lap traffic, Travis was running his normal cushion line. Travis on the top at the Nodak Speedway up on the top side. I don't think you can find a driver probably better than him. When he's able to run his high groove, that finite cushion around the top.
And he's going to keep the car underneath him so it ain't tailed out real bad, tearing the tire up worse than necessary.
Right, but that rubber was actually down 2 lanes from the very top. And because of lap traffic, Tom found it.
Reflecting back on that there, did you see Tom make kind of a high-low move behind him 2-3 laps before he got him? He was testing.
Yep.
And he had tested and found a little bit of that middle that Travis, as the leader, couldn't go searching for. And Tom made that high-low deal, and he knew it was there. So then when the platform got clear again, he knew that he could stick there, and Travis hadn't been there yet.
Yep.
Good fortune again. Back to Jamestown talking about Tom Barry. Apparently a throttle cable broke on his car in Jamestown, which caused him to pull off.
Huh.
I mean, something's, I don't know.
Sometimes it's 3-cent pieces. It makes no sense.
It's just one of them deals that just shoots you in the foot. It's.
But 2
Just
cool races
on.
as you start rolling up to Estevan.
Estevan. What more can you say about a return of the mod tour to Estevan? I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about it.
The least sunlight.
That sun goes down early.
Uh-huh.
I got a little chilly. That's the only negative thing that I can say about Estevan on the tour.
Cars run better when it's cool.
It seems like it's getting to be the slide job capital of North Dakota. I mean, the track just lends itself to multiple lines, and what a cool front row for the A-Main. That Cody and Steven on the front row.
That was cool.
And if you watched it on TV, I had the best seat in the house for everywhere for the 4-wide salute, that camera angle of looking right at them 2 or the 4 cars. That was me up there holding on to that camera in the back of either a pickup or a side-by-side. That's pretty cool.
That's funny that you say that, because I'm like, man, where's Brandon? I haven't seen him the whole tour.
Put a tie-down strap around him.
I was the wireless camera operator. I was wherever the action wanted to be.
All right. Now that you bring that up, what I really liked a lot about the tour was that drone footage.
Yep.
That is rocking cool.
Those things can keep up with the cars. I mean, they rip right along. So,
But the footage it's bringing us, man.
The
You put the blimp out of business.
There's a couple gentlemen that came up to help IMCA TV. Well, there's 3 of them. Nate Ober, been friends with Nate for a long time. Nate was a huge part of me even starting Dart TV. Nate, myself, a couple other guys. We were with Barry Braun when Xan first came up here in the 2012-ish. That was kind of Nate. I was giving Barry a hand at that time.
That's right, I know the name. Yeah.
Okay. So Nate
Sponsored Aaron for a while, I think.
Sponsored Aaron. So that's how far back, like Nate, myself, Byron's a part of our group from back then, Tyler Hagan. Everybody got their kind of little start with the video side back then, the group of us. Garrett came up. I thought social media presence between Garrett and Nick Hulberg, lights out. They were putting stuff out all day, different little promos, different little interviews, different things. And then Mike, who is the silent type, he's the drone guy. And super nice guy, silent. Doesn't say much.
Focused.
He does his job. And he does a great job.
Man, you got to be focused. Those things are just hovering right above the cars.
If you can imagine, I'm down there running my wireless camera. I'm in turn 3. I'm in the hot pit. I'm in the back of the side-by-side. I'm up doing driver intros, And we have a broadcast comms set up. I have a headset on so I can talk to the producer, Nate. Nate can talk to me. Jenny running the main camera. The drone guy. We can all communicate without, anybody hearing us or whatever. But at the same time, I can hear the announcers. It's really cool. It's like a lot of technology thrown into that.
You're on 3 radio stations all the time.
Yes. Well, me running my camera and Nate's talking about what an awesome shot that the drone guy is getting or what an awesome shot Jenny's getting. I had to go back and rewatch every broadcast so I could see what the heck they were talking about.
I have to do that a lot with a lot of the things that Jordan says. Like when we're talking, I'm like, I'm not catching that, and then I go back and listen to what he said. I got you now. You're next level, Jordan.
Well, I'm only probably sharing my opinion. It might not be correct. It probably isn't. So,
but the Estevan deal, bringing the mod tour back up there, lights out. Racetrack was lights out. Racing was lights out. The hospitality, it's always lights out. The hospitality is.
Estevan and everybody involved is awesome.
Yeah.
They're just awesome. They want to race, and they work hard to do it right.
Cody Schultz,
they do it
hometown win.
Yeah. Wow. I had some restarts, which is always the nerve checker, and no problems there. The Codester was there.
The Big Show was showing muscle though towards the end there.
I was
hoping to see maybe a yellow because he was digging.
Jason Walla found the 180-degree corner that we talk about.
The hot sauce line?
He was down on the bottom wrapping them tires, and he was wrapping them so much further than anybody else.
Catching that last little bit.
Yep, that last little bit.
They hop you up and get you down to the next end.
And I looked at some lap times. I went on my race pass, and I looked at them lap times. The last 4 or 5 laps, he was beating Cody by a tenth or 2.
You could see
it was going to be interesting. He was closing it in. A yellow, and Cody may have been a sitting duck a little bit, not knowing what line is there.
Knowing that the bottom had come to life, because I seen Cody was up high.
The full wrap.
Yeah.
So there was other guys trying
the full
to
180.
Yes, there was
185 just to make sure.
There's
not bailing at the 160.
But I think the story of the night may have been our buddy from Turtle Lake. The 5T. 20 positions gained.
Right.
From 26th to 6th.
6th.
I'm sure you've had these conversations with him, moving from the car that he was driving to the Rage. I chatted with him a little bit.
Yeah.
And he just said, yeah, it's making a difference.
Yeah.
And, it just lends it to his driving style. I mean,
yeah, but that's fair. That's fair. And we haven't had a chance to really sit down and enjoy a long conversation. We've both been chasing racing and repairs and whatever, but yeah, he's all smiles. I'm excited for him. And 26th to 6th. Whew.
Yeah, that's a good run, man.
Well, especially with the field you're running with.
Well, just think. So 26 cars started.
Just Green Arrows period is good, let alone a whole bunch of them.
When you're the last guy that makes a show, when you're in a big event and you're the last guy, that last person that makes it into the A main or the big dance or whatever you want to call it, your expectations are about nothing. Zero.
You're exhausted.
Yet you're tired just from even getting
And
there.
the pay's the same for about the first 10 spots when you're in last. So,
Well, to your point on that, as much as we loved what Jerry Filippo did in the B main at Nodak, when he got to the A main, he wasn't much of a factor. I was expecting him to just tear it up. So that even
you want to
speaks-
make it, the minimum pay is high, but the minimum pay doesn't really change like I share until you get up, past probably 10 spots. And 10 spots with that bunch is real. I mean, everybody in there is a multiple-time champion and a front runner and a traveler, and they're good. So
we talked a lot about Rob Van Mill and Trenton Greger, but now that we're in Estevan talking about their king, Austin Doe, I mean, he has been showing speed and doing what he does on that top group.
yeah.
Unfortunate DNF up in Estevan, though. Did not finish. So you went Van Mill in the stock cars night 1. Greger night 2, 1 in Minot.
Kind of flip-flopped, I think.
Yeah, Greger won night 2, and then Van Mill again night 3. So them Fargo boys, they came to play. There's another one that Shelby Williams, 82, he came up with the hatchback, or what did Larry call it? The cut butt special. Had some motor issues in his
Jamestown.
Well, in his pickup too.
And both.
He lost the motor in his pickup, and he lost the motor in his race car, all on the same day, supposedly.
Yeah, he had a picture at Jamestown. Nothing
Yep.
was running.
Nothing. So
Hello tour,
Yeah.
night 1. He did something. I mean, he
He-
was able to continue.
he was able to. He got a motor. They were using a half-ton pickup.
And somebody had borrowed him something.
Yep. God bless my kids, because they volunteered every truck, trailer, everything I own to try to get Shelby Williams to the next track.
People love him, and they want to help him.
Yes.
That's awesome. The guys are traveling, and there's nothing wrong with offering a helping hand for sure. They do it when we go down there. So
Adam Goff had a good run up in Estevan, finished 8th. He was starting to get his tour rolling a little bit.
Yep.
I'm we're a
Trying to
little bit-
remember all this.
yeah.
Well, what I'm thinking of is I'm
All
where
of
I'm
us.
at right now, and I'm thinking of where Adam Goff is. He probably was the best representation of the locals on the tour.
A lot of nights he probably would have been higher up there than any other locals, and I think overall,
But by the end there, he had it going pretty good. So
yeah. And I don't have it up on the screen yet, but I will here
and then I messed around
shortly.
with some carburetor stuff and some ignition stuff, and I think it got him.
Yep.
I think he got going pretty good there. So, and he's been good since. So
Williston got a bunch of rain. I think that's the theme of Williston this year.
Are they at the point where they can crown a champion?
yes,
Yes,
they just crossed that bridge last weekend.
For 2 classes.
Right, because tougher than dirt.
Tougher than
So,
dirt
yeah,
tour.
we got to get one more. We got to get next Friday and to get
Yep.
So 2 classes are cash-inable.
Yeah, you
2 are
got to
not, so-
schedule 6, race 4. I think those are the rules within IMCA.
Okay, you have to get in 4. That
You
I
have
know.
to get in 4
You
to
can
crown.
schedule 24, but you have to get in
Right.
4. So, yeah.
Yep.
So, and if for some reason something isn't going right there, I would say that there will be an adjustment made so that can be done. So, my opinion.
My night in Williston probably can't be much said about what I partook in, because I'm an avid non-drinking person, and I may have had some cocktails,
Oh boy.
and we lived it up.
I've heard bits and pieces.
We lived it up pretty well in the hotel lobby.
There's your hot sauce topic of the night.
Yeah, he was in the middle of it.
I surely was. I gave up the drinking pretty early, so that way I hate the feeling the next day when I drink too much.
So would you say that it was a good night, or
A great night.
it was such a fun night. Have you ever had one of them nights that you wake up the next morning and you're not sick, you're not hungover, you're not anything, but your damn face hurts, and you go, "Why does my face hurt?" And then you
Lot
think
of
back to
laughing?
last
you're
night.
smiling and all?
We were laughing so damn hard, all of our faces hurt.
Mike and Marcus said that too. It sounded like it was a lot of fun. Yeah, those rainouts, they're not a total loss. They might just hurt a little.
I don't know if we'll be allowed back at the Clarion again, maybe. shut down the bar, I think, twice.
I'll
We
repeat just some highlights. We shouldn't have left Applebee's.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and at that point, I hadn't had anything to drink.
oh, you're driving.
I was I
Could have
was
been.
The night ended up, God bless everybody involved. Somehow the night ended with me having to walk back to the hotel room.
Well,
So
better than
it was a good night.
Better than crawling.
Yeah. Kind of a little bit of a boring finish, I guess. I mean, walking back to your hotel.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe there'd be some stories about a car on the track in Williston, testing
When we were with
out.
Brad King, there might be some skipping or running
Yeah,
or something.
I
but
guess that's the only thing we were missing was the old squirrel.
Well, good. I'm glad you had a good time.
nobody got put in jail.
No,
Yeah.
everybody made
well
it to
played.
bed. Everybody made it to bed safe. Everybody got up the next morning and made it to the next track, which is the Southwest Speedway in Dickinson.
So where's Travis Hagen, Dalton Flory, Joe Flory's mindset? Obviously they think they got a home field advantage going to Williston. Maybe got a shot to win that night, and then it gets rained out. Are you like, did you talk to those guys? Are they down? Are they?
I did not. You might have.
We never talked to him, but we had
They're
talks.
certainly masters of their track, and
We had talks that, especially in Travis Hagen's, favor, or Travis Hagen's, the Williston was going to be the biggest wild card for a guy like Tim Ward. Travis knows Williston, knows how to race Williston, knows the inner workings of the racetrack, and that's his home track. 12 championships, or what does he have there?
A bunch.
A bunch.
He's good on the bottom. He's good on the top. So there's no holding him back.
And for a guy like Tim Ward, coming from, I don't think they see racetracks like Williston maybe down in Iowa where he's racing. He only gets to see it once a year when he comes up here on the tour.
Especially if it's damp.
And
with the rainy day, it was heading that way prior to canceling.
So in my mind, for a guy like Travis Hagen, that was a huge, huge loss in the points battle. Missing that night at the Williston Mesa Speedway.
So much luck and fortune is involved in this deal, and that's exactly, a dinger on for Travis. I'd like to see him got that. Like I say, and even Tim Ward, and not taking anything away from Tim Ward, I know his dad and have raced with his dad, and congratulations to them. Well played there. But did Tim entertain an open motor the entire tour?
Not Tim. Strickler.
Strickler had one in? Okay, I know Tim has had one in. He did not have one in during the tour. Okay.
Crate motor.
Okay.
Strickler had the open until Dickinson.
Yep.
And then he
switched that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And you could
Tim had won some races this spring with an open, so I was not clear if that's what he had in on the tour.
Yeah, I
so
think he went back to the crate.
He was all crate stuff for the tour.
Yep.
Okay. He'd have been as even as everybody else in Williston then. I thought maybe that would be a factor.
Strickler in Jamestown with the open motor, Kyle Strickler with the open motor in Jamestown, I thought was competitive. He was running top 3, had that slide job deal with Laney go south, But when you showed up to Minot with more of a slick racetrack, when you went to Estevan with the slick racetrack, you could really see it was more of a hindrance than it was a help, having that open motor.
Yeah.
But then he puts the crate in and he shows up to Dickinson, and he runs top 2, drives from 11th up to 2nd.
Yeah. That's what makes that option just
hard to even compete with.
Yeah. I often wish that open had just something, maybe even the 2-inch spoiler or something. But right now that's not the way it is, and so the decisions are made accordingly.
And then, so Tim Ward, Travis Hagen are battling out for the championship.
It's time to pay attention.
Attention.
Yeah.
You go back to Nodak, and Tim Ward passes 14 cars to get himself a top 5 finish at Nodak. And kind of went underneath the radar. Nobody.
That is his whole deal. Everything is under the radar. I mean, he isn't flashy. He isn't slide job, and he isn't aggressive. It's just, I'm doing my thing. Here I am.
Top 5,
Deal with me.
top 5s. Yeah. Well, again, it worked for him. I mean, that's just stayed focused.
Can I go back to
program.
Nodak and Tom Berry Jr.? My goodness, do people love that guy. He won, and it was a party.
Yep. He left a lasting impression up here. That summer that he spent up here, people, I think, when somebody comes up here, I think the same appreciation's for Ricky Thornton Jr. because Ricky Thornton,
Yeah.
I think Jeff Taylor's in that boat too.
Yeah.
Because they've came up here enough times, even not during Mod Tour, because Ricky's been up here non-Mod Tour nights. Tom Berry's been up here non. Taylor's been up here non-Mod
Tom
Tour.
won what? Nodak and Mandan same year that one year.
Yep.
So he
they-
was living here for a while.
When they come up here and they race with us, and you get to see them on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly, whatever. You get to see them more than once a year. Us North Dakotans, we take a pride in that.
Yeah. We
And
take them in.
Yeah, we take them in, and then when they go on and have success, like I just watched Ricky Thornton Jr. last night at the World of Outlaw Late Models
Doing
at
it to
Boone
'em.
Speedway. Dang close to winning. Got a second, against Bobby Pierce. When Bobby Pierce and Ricky
Right.
Thornton battling
Right.
it out,
There's nobody left.
Right.
So
But Tom Berry's the same way. He's went on and won USMTS races, big
Yeah.
IMCA mod races,
Super Nationals.
Yeah.
Super Nationals. So when
Yeah.
he comes back to North Dakota, people just think he may not be one of our own, but we adopted him. He's one of our own.
And not taking
Yeah.
anything away from
It's-
Travis
Yeah.
because they love him just as
Yeah.
much. But that's what made that race so great.
yes.
You were a winner,
We've
whatever
got
happened.
CTBJ Weekly, like I say,
Yep.
he'd won a couple of championships, and he had raced probably 3 seasons with us. So, yeah, and you can't help but like him. I mean, he's a great conversation.
Yep.
He's fun.
Yep.
So
Yeah. So you talked
keeps the
about
party moving.
in Dickinson, Jerry Flippo. So now starting in Williston, we wouldn't have had Tom Berry. Tom was only with us the first
That's what he had shared.
3
Mhm.
nights. So, actually, he was going to be with us 4. He looked at the weather forecast and said, I'm going to leave early.
I don't got time for this.
Estevan, he went home.
Yeah.
Otherwise, original plan, he was going to be in Williston.
Through Williston, yeah.
So we take him out, but I don't think we fell down at all in talent. I mean, Jerry Flippo, as you talked earlier, picks up the feature win. Strickler second. Tim Ward again. This is what it was setting the stage, man. I remember running that camera in the infield.
This was the pivot night.
Travis Hagen in a B main. Tim Ward in a B main.
This
You
is
know,
the
you're-
pivot night.
You're watching both of these and you're like, oh man, Travis starts 15th. Tim Ward starts 20th. This is all
Yeah.
going through my head while I'm down there running camera. I'm like, Trav needs a good night. Come on, Trav, let's have a good night. And Tim Ward goes up 15 and Trav can only go up 1.
Yeah.
One of them deals, It's
Ah.
Well, that tells you how awesome the tour, not our tour, but the mod
The
tour,
tour.
to have the 2 guys leading in points having to run a B main.
B main on the same night.
Yep.
Yeah,
First time.
Yep.
drama.
So it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That-
It's just breath holding. Every race.
And as many praises as I'm giving to Estevan, because amazing night in Estevan, the tour night was an amazing night. Dickinson Southwest Speedway, that track was lights out, guys. That was such a fun race track. It had character.
Mm-hmm.
It had a little bit of moisture. It had
High edge, low edge.
Well, it had strips through the whole track.
Ribbons.
Like you had ribbons of moisture and just a little bit of character in a couple different spots that you could dig some moisture out of and get some grip.
I'd shared that little bit of character stuff at the beginning of the year. It was going to have to be the 4th, 5th dimension here because
Yep.
everybody's so good.
Yep.
So
They were out ahead of it while Williston was getting rained out. They were posting, "Hey guys, you may want to come to us, but we want to make sure our pits are cool and drag it to make sure it's all nice and dry."
Yeah.
So they were really putting
Approachable.
We got rain
Mm-hmm.
too. Don't come in our pit area until we get it ready, please, is what they put out
let us
there.
pack it, let it dry.
Yep. Because
I
that
saw
dirt
that.
is so weird down there.
Yeah.
You spit on it and you almost slip on your butt because it feels like a banana peel.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
But it looked dry.
But it looks dry.
So that's how I see it too. What is this? So
But
yeah.
they were able to, and I remember hearing Chad Meyer on the call, like on the announcer call, is Brad Hardigan goes out at intermission and he jumps in the blade and he starts blading it off. They never even put a water truck on it. Brad Hardigan goes out, starts at the top, blades are down to the bottom, and I vividly remember Chad going, "That's the track prep that they have planned to do tonight." He was kind of not second guessing. He was kind of like, "Okay, I've been around this a long time. What are we doing here?"
That's awesome when there's that much moisture that you don't have to play around with water trucks. That's awesome.
You couldn't see the moisture though.
Yeah. Again, it looks dry.
It looks
Yeah.
dry. It
Yeah.
looked dry. It
It's
looked like
deceiving.
it looked like this place was going to take rubber. It was going to get one lane. in my mind, I'm like, oh, Brad, could you have done something just a little bit different? What? And then all of a sudden they come out with some B mains, and that place just widens out. They're racing the top, they're racing the bottom, they're bouncing through the middle. Knocked out. Beautiful racetrack, beautiful race night.
A little bit of character.
That hour, again.
I was just going to say, same as Esteban.
Hour.
Yes. Yes.
Next year's
Let's
race
campaign. We're starting at 8. It's the
midnight
late show.
start time.
Go to the movies. Go to the late show.
Go to the late
races.
show.
It makes for a real late night though when you're watching
When you
the
gotta
race.
you got to check back in with life. I get it, man. I wish we could race at 9 o'clock like the late show. I wish we could.
Makes such a difference.
Yeah.
So then you roll in. We talked about the mods. Former tour champion Zach Madrid picks up the stock car. Kind of silent all week to this point. Didn't really.
Rob and Trent had just been putting it down, and but Zach was being good. I mean, keeping his car out of trouble.
And
which he's good at.
And this was another night or another instance of the 2 points leaders. I think both of them had to come through B mains again here because they started 9th and 10th. Rob Van Mill 9th, Trent Greger 10th. So you're sitting there looking at them in that 5th row, and you're asking yourself, can one of them
break away?
Can one of them not? What's going to happen? And it was Van Mill who moved up 7 spots, come home 2nd. Greger only went up 3 and came home 7th.
So tell me why the Flory boys are not battling.
I don't know that. I did not have that discussion with them. Certainly Dalton is playing with the A-mod and stuff like that. So I just have not had that discussion. I'm not sure. So
and I don't have an answer for it either.
So again, sometimes racing just sometimes you just need to breathe a little bit, and again, that might be what they're doing. I'm not sure. Dalton and Alexi are newlyweds and stuff like that.
And
too,
expecting, I believe.
Yeah, and expecting. So there could be some stuff, outside of racing, getting ready for that. And that would be understandable.
Mine were just here. You just seen Peyton and Max here in the studio.
Yep.
Those kids have a tendency to put a crimp on racing.
Yeah. And again, the Flory family, Jetler's still got some moments there. So John and Heidi are paying attention to that. Was able to catch up with them a little bit here since our last show too. So I get it. I get it. Right now, racing isn't quite what it's been for them. I believe that'll return. I don't know why it wouldn't, but you do this long enough, every once in a while, you need to take a breather. So, and I can share personally, the tour has just gotten too big for me personally. It's just too demanding for what I can supply with car and people, which is me. So it don't take long for me to get wore out and tired, and I'm only getting older. So.
Dalton, a former champ, Joe, a former champ, Zevenbergen, not seeing him.
He's racing more in Iowa. I'm not 100%.
Yeah, it seems like maybe closer to home. Again, just guessing here, but what am I going to say? Stock car class has gotten it leaps and bounds more competitive every year. And when you're fast, but when you're trying to get fast, you can get faster, if you will. And once you kind of get up against that wall, everybody's good. And, we're talking about cars being in B mains that you wouldn't think would be. When you're looking at traveling, 500-600 miles in that threat, all of a sudden the numbers aren't making sense. The cost of traveling's high. I get it. And time itself. Zevenbergen's been racing a long time, and there could be things personally in his life changing too.
Because it seems like if you go back, it was Flory and Zevenbergen back and forth. And if Zevenbergen he doesn't show up, Flory putting the crown on.
Yeah. Well, we had touched on that there before that deal had started. And I think Zevenbergen had 6 or 7 championships, and you're right. The only
other than Dalton had one in there, he would have had, I think, 6 in a row.
Yeah. So how many do you need? I don't know. Versus the cost of doing it. So
I just looked it up. He's raced 34 nights this year, so it's not like he's taking a summer off by any means.
That's
he's
a
just
full
doing
schedule.
He's just doing other events. He's not even racing for a championship as far as I can see at any racetrack. He just jumps around. Like tonight, he says he's in Arlington Raceway, so he's just jumping around, going to hit whatever specials he can hit, and
Yeah, 34 nights. That's a full season, and there's still 2 months left. So, yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Adam Goff, third, top 5 down at Southwest Speedway. I think he was disappointed in his third because I think he thought he was better at Southwest than he maybe showed there.
He's really showing muscle here. When he's really, this right here seems like his launching point to where he is now. I mean, from here to now is like he's got something figured out.
Yeah, if he felt there were some shortcomings here, that he's really getting the payoff right now away from the tour. So.
I don't want to say he was disappointed. He was more like, I think in his mind, his ability at the Southwest Speedway, he won earlier in the year. He felt comfortable. He felt like he had a good setup going in. He ran away with his heat race. You know, it's just things were building, and I really, in talking to him, I think he thought, this is one that I should be able to get.
Yeah.
So a third, but when you're in a third with Madrid, Van Mil, Goff, McAtoon, Munoz, Williams, how much further do you guys want me to go? You did great, Adam.
You did great. Yeah.
Well, you look at some guy like Zach Madrid, Angel Munoz. Those are big names that I think Angel probably would think that he had a poor tour. I mean, I probably thought he would have a lot more.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Robin Trent laid down those first 3 nights, 3 nights. So, yeah,
and they're
another half a dozen thought they should have had them too. So
through this whole week, so we're finished up with Southwest now. Through the whole week, there's been a driver that's just been hanging around, sticking his nose in, maybe a top 5, winning a heat race here, winning a heat race there, but not getting the flashy finishes. And then we're going to talk about him in Mandan when we get there. Who won the stock car feature in Mandan? Dakota Speedway.
Labatt.
Brendan Labatt. It was funny.
Nail biter.
Wow, but it was funny because we talked about it all week. We kind of, with having Byron with Canadian, and me feel like Canada's my second home up there in Estevan. We were talking about Brendan going into the final night. Man, he has showed a lot this week, but hasn't had the finishes to maybe be flashy enough for people to pay attention. And go figure, he shows up championship night for this deal, and a nail biter, but he picked it up. I mean,
it's the only lap that counts.
Yeah.
So, pretty awesome. You look pretty darn happy in the interview.
Yep, going against like a McAtoon, a Van Mil. Yeah, and then like you said, Trent Greger does everything the same as Travis Hagen. Trent Greger showed up. He wins his heat race, starts pole of the feature.
I'm doing
everything to win this championship, loses a motor within the first 6 laps, didn't he? I mean, it was within 6 laps or so.
I've mentioned a lot about how motors, my apologies, I know you popped one, but they seem to really be strong, and they don't bust as much as I remember them.
As they used to, yeah.
But when Trent busted his motor, there was another guy on the track. There was like 2 motors smoking at the same time. We lost 2 on the same lap, and I'm drawing a blank as to who did it.
Reed Keller. It was from Webster City. Reed Keller, 19R. They both lost a motor at the same time.
Just a lot of demand. Again, the chip is set at 7,400, and like I say, when you look in your pickup, that's a long ways over here. You're over here all the time, and we're over here all the time. So
do you think that
we're controlled by parts? So
that Dakota Speedway track that night would have been tackier, grippier, that's draining the motor, pulling it harder?
Just a lot of nights end to end. Hard to stay on top of checking it out. I'm sure the oil changes were still being done and stuff like that, but most guys probably had the motor in since day one. They race locally and all that. Seems like we get around that 20-night deal, all of a sudden you're starting to get nervous about the gremlins.
Are you draining the oil every night?
Some might be. I'm not. I'm a 4-night guy, with roughly a 2-night a weekend race. So every 2 weeks type of deal. I won't say I haven't slid to 5, and I have changed it at 3. But there's some guys that probably are changing nightly, even 2s and 3s. And they still break. It's a tough application. It really is. It's a lot of RPM. And if you're not turning it, everybody else is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It was cool to see Labatt up front.
Yeah.
That McAtoon, Dan McAtoon and I have a special bond. The year I was down in Super Nationals and I had the privilege of being the infield reporter, I was standing about 20 feet away from the pole that he hit, that he knocked the lights off of.
That's right. Yeah.
My life flashed before my eyes because there was a car sliding through the mud right at me, and there was a pole between me and you. When you stage yourself down at something like that, even with me doing the camera for IMCA TV for the mod tour, you always try to kind of hide behind a
Protection.
something, so that way, so nobody can take a kind of a direct angle. They have to go roundabout angle to you. Well, I had that pole down there in Boone between us, so. He doesn't even know who I am, so when I say a special bond, it's just for me.
And then the rack came down.
Yeah, and then the lights fell down in Boone.
So
yeah, that year everybody remembers. Do you remember that happening?
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
That's an
I'm gonna have to
interesting
show-
story.
he caught the light pole, and all the lights on top come sliding down and hit the ground. So
When you say caught the light pole, that hit right dead in the passenger door. It
Yeah.
pushed the door bar all the way across. That pole had to be about sitting where the passenger would sit in a streetcar.
I think it destroyed the car.
Destroyed it.
Yeah.
And then the lights
And
came
then
down
the
and
rack
fell
of
on top
lights.
of the car.
Boom.
Yeah.
So as spectacular as we're describing it.
Yeah.
it
I'll have
would
to
not-
look it up for you one time.
Yeah, it's out there.
Modifieds.
Sean Stratton had a good run there too. That was cool to see him,
Yeah.
deal with all that adversity, because I think he hit it every night with that stock car,
Yep, he was at every night with the stock car.
and he was punching for the front.
His home track
Mm-hmm.
knows it pretty well. So
And just like Tom Berry's was beloved in Minot, I'm sure everyone was pulling for him.
yeah. And we had talked about Sean, and again, he just adversity is exactly right there. Things just the candle got blowed out before it got going. So just another reality check of just how close we are to things not going right. So, but Sean will rebound. He'll have a good fall here yet, and he hasn't said so, but I'm sure he'll be racing again next year, and he'll be one of our favorites again then too. Yep.
All right, I'm ready for the mods.
Mods. I thought going into this, it was kind of like I was hoping for Trav to have a good night, just because Trav's a friend.
Yeah. He's a
and
little behind now.
And I wasn't wishing anything bad upon Tim Ward. I just wanted it, in my mind, settled on the track. Both of them won their heat races. When they came out for the feature, I wish I could have seen into Trav's helmet and looked at his eyes, because when they threw that green flag, he had one mission and one mission only.
Yeah, no.
It's the only thing he could have done in his control. So
You mentioned just now about the motor being in all tour long. The car is what it is. But my goodness, it seemed like he found 50 more horsepower. And when he hit that button, it was gone.
So, from the words of a lot of drivers, from the mouths of a lot of drivers that raced at Mandan that night, it was not a Mandan
typical
racetrack. There was more moisture there than Trav will even admit. Say, I've never raced on something with that much moisture in Mandan. It was
90s.
It was pretty. It was a lot like Dickinson in a way of not necessarily character, but strips, veins of moisture all the way through. And Trav hangs his hat on weekly shows. He's able to find that grip, find that moisture,
and stay in them.
all
the way through.
Now,
Don't slip off of
a
'em.
caution late. I think Tim Ward maybe had something for him, because Tim had that top rolling in. He was up at the very top, and it took Tim all race, but he finally got up to second. And you look at them lap times again. I looked at him, a tenth or a half a tenth. There at the end, he was quicker than Trav.
But could it be that Travis is maybe smoking a cigar and thinking, I'm getting my first win here? Is he lifting a little bit? Is he saving tires? Is he?
I think Trav was being gingerly through lap traffic, and he even got held up by a few lap cars. So, I mean, that had an effect on it. But
Just making sure he wasn't over-risking the equipment. He was leading. So
there's no way I could run my camera in the corner and try to give Trav signals at the same time. So.
And with that said, Tim also knew the point spread, and
Yep.
it's a point per position. So once he had gotten himself into the top 5, he knew the championship was there, and that anything going forward from that was going to have to be really easy. And again, smart chess players.
Yep. But
Travis did everything he could do.
Travis getting
Without a mirror.
off the schneid, picking up the feature win. I don't think he's overrated. I'm going back to previous episodes.
Yeah,
Come on, let's play, guys.
Yeah, I actually was surprised, and I even know the answer. I was surprised that it was his first tour win.
So was I. So
and I knew it was, but yet I was still surprised.
Yeah.
He's just that good.
And if you look even
Should've had
deeper
more
into
than-
it, so
Should've
Tim
had
Ward
more
won
than
the
one.
championship,
Yep.
and he's driving what now is considered the best of the best car.
The performer.
Right. And Travis, to his point, he mentioned this. He's driving an older,
Yeah, it's
Rage.
like a 16 or something. It's not even
but
new.
in that day and age, that's flexed out. It's old.
Yeah.
So for him
by
to,
some of that theory.
I mean, he's really battling the odds.
Yeah. Well, and that's where his nickname does make sense, because he likes to come at it with an underdog approach, if you will, if a dark horse approach, and he's comfortable. He's got time invested in that. I'm sure he's got notes accordingly. So track conditions and stuff like that. I'm suggesting that he's got notes good enough that he can go back and say, 3 years ago this track was just like this, and this setup worked really good for me, and still getting satisfaction out of those notes. So. He had done that with his GRT car, too. I mean, he had a 10-year-old GRT car, putting the punishment down night after night with that, too. So that's been his deal. I like that. I kind of think I've done that in my own way, too. So
Yeah.
new stuff is for some guys, not all of us. So
Well, just like
keep
you,
cutting and welding. It'll do something eventually.
You get comfortable with the track and know
Let
it's
Dilly
routine.
Bar cut her up a little. It'll be all right.
Get comfortable with that old car. And, yeah.
I just, through my years of racing, I've only had one brand new race car. That was 2015 when Perry Meisner was kind enough to build Brock and I these chubby hobby stocks.
Mm-hmm.
That
was already that long ago.
Almost 8 years
8 years. Seems like about 4.
But it's we've never been one. Brock's never been one. Brock's Rage car that he's racing right now is a 14. You know, that one that he's currently running. So you're dang near 10 years old at
car.
that.
Yeah.
Max's car is a 16. It was built in 2016. It's had a front clip put underneath it. You know, we're not a new car family. We like taking cars that maybe
A little bruised up.
and you make something out of them. We take more pride in doing that than maybe running out and buying the next. I don't want to get on a soapbox, but the people that run out and buy the next thing have the money. Number one, have the money,
resources.
the resources to go out and buy the next thing, the next chassis, the next big thing. They kind of frustrate me in a way because I feel like, are they racing? Are they doing things to win? Because ultimately you want to win. So they're doing things their way to win, but it's not necessarily in my mind the way I would do it.
But what about this?
Y-
What
y-
about
you know?
What about it seems
You got to get
like
metal slivers. You got to get metal slivers.
it almost seems like
So-
you have to though.
Yeah.
The crate, for example, you're a prisoner to that.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of is that way with the Rage, where I mean, if you're not running it, you're probably not competitive. You know, it just seems like something you have to do.
Yeah.
I'm talking A-mods, you know, obviously.
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
had that discussion, you know, or do they get flexed out in 20 nights? I mean, there's some belief of that for sure. But the Travises and the Stephen Pfeiffers, you know, they say, not so fast.
Right.
We're still young enough and strong enough. We'll just bulldog it around on its shortcomings. And,
Well, Steven was driving that Harris,
yeah,
and when he went from the Harris to the Rage, I mean, my goodness.
he had a Taylor in there too somewhere. But,
Yep.
yeah, so
That Rage has
I
been
think he
good, really
still
good.
has. I think he still has.
might
a
still have
Taylor-
that. He might.
Taylor
yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, but what? Yeah, and I think what we see there is that the Rage stays real competitive without having to work on it 20 hours a day. He can still do his day job, and
I don't hear a whole lot of people saying, "Man, that Rage is a lemon." I'm going back to whatever.
my other noticed that.
Drew Christensen, I mean, he's came out this year in a rage and won a couple features, and
And obviously, great customer service. Sean, he already does have his car back.
It has it back, and it has raced it already.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, Justin O'Brien, that's amazing. That
Right. And
I can't even get
and
my car
and around the country, there's
changing
people
oil
having
that quick.
trouble, and to be able to get it back on the jig and get it repaired and presentable and back together, that's we spend all winter doing that, and now we do it in 2 or 3 days.
That's still
Or
under
a week.
warranty, isn't it? You get it right.
Broad warranty.
in getting to know Justin O'Brien over the years, he's come up here on the mod tour with myself running Nodak, and he's always been one of the better guys to have a conversation with. There's been nights when I was running Nodak that I'd finish up the night at Nodak and I'd be beating myself up because I thought we could have had a better night. And Justin was always there. He'd kind of elbow me and say, "Hey, good job tonight." And I'd be like, "We could have did this." He goes, "It's a racetrack. Who gives a shit? We were all here to race," and just trying to pump me up a little bit. So
Just keeping it real.
Justin's a good. I like Justin. I hope he continues to come up here. He builds great race cars, and he's just overall a pretty dang good guy to have coming to the racetrack. There's a lot of them out there. I mean, I met quite a few of them over my years, but he's one that kind of sticks out in my mind a little bit.
When you brought up
Pretty
Jeff
grounded.
Taylor,
Yep.
Jeff Taylor was at Dakota Speedway the Friday before the tour began.
Yep.
And broke a motor and then never was able to run the tour. I was disappointed not to have him on the tour.
I heard he went home for whatever reason. So
I forgot about that, but yeah, he broke a motor. Okay, I didn't know what had happened because I knew he was in the area. So, all right.
points.
I would have liked to seen a Jordan Boy special dropped in that Taylor Shaw, and there we go.
Yeah.
Let's put a little green on it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. We need that spoiler, apparently.
One of my truck drivers out at Power Fuels, I didn't even know he listened to our podcast. He asked me the other day, he goes, "Is Jordan really going to try to bring a car out from the past and try to race with these guys?" And I go, "We'll have to wait and see. That's all I can tell you."
It's in the makings.
It's in the making.
It's not a no. It's not a no. I haven't done it yet, but we are. Again, I've had some stock car motor troubles here that has just absorbed all my creativity. But nonetheless, motor magic is the goal right now. So, and I mean that from my Justin O'Brien car builder, Steve Sarr. So he is involved. This is the guy that built my car.
There you
1995 custom car. So
Well, that just made Motor Magic all the more fun. Let's do it.
Let's not rush through this month yet. Motor Magic means the end.
It does. It does. We wanted to have it out last month, and now we're hoping to get it out next month. So,
Points for the stock cars, as you can see on the screen here. Rob Van Mill picks up his first championship. Zach Madrid second. Munoz, Greger.
yeah.
Here's the Adam Goff sighting, fifth.
Yeah.
That really surprises me, Zachary Madrid in second. He was very
That's why I say kind of quiet,
Yeah.
but not. Actually, to me there's a little bit of fuzz there because Greger was better than that.
Yeah,
He had a
'cause-
motor, so showing him in fourth. He was a top 3 car, I'll say at the very least. Obviously, a top 2 car.
But if you look
up
at
to
the
that
points,
point.
21 back to Madrid, 24 to Munoz. Van Mill and Greger had separated themselves by 15 plus points.
Yeah, and given that they're making the A main, that was starting to be a cushion pretty quick.
Yep.
So, yeah. But nonetheless, it is what it is. Did an interview with the newspaper, and I guessed Adam to be a top 5 guy. So
You got it.
I got to buy some lottery tickets here. So, so I'm pretty excited for Adam.
And for a driver that you'll see race locally in our neck of the woods, let's call it Minot, Williston, Estevan, Adam would be the top local.
Yep.
Yep. I know Trent Greger's from Sykeston, North Dakota. I'm talking Western North Dakota local would be
Yep.
Adam.
Our neck of the woods.
Adam
neck of the
always
woods.
gives credit to his engine builder. I think he's out of Fargo.
Yep. He's got Brad putting his stuff together, and it's been solid. So, Say, Adam and I are pretty close, and monkeying around with carburetors a little bit and stuff like that. I think maybe we found a little bit of speed there for him. So, But now, Adam, I got to tolerate you. So, so what am I doing? No, all is well. Like I said, I've been having some trouble, but we got some gears going for him. So yeah, we're working on it.
Quietly, Brendan Labatt, top 10 in points. Sean Strand, top 10 in points. Those are kind of the ones that, names that Western North Dakota would know. Sean, Zilmer, Gregor, Van Mill, they're from the eastern part of the state. But
might see these names again come the Oktoberfest. That's when they had show.
Chase Davidson, a ninth. Kind of missed him in there.
Yeah, I thought Chase
10.
had some nice runs. He's getting better all the time, and he's getting some top 3 finishes. So he's looking to become solid there too. So nice run for him. I tell you, top 10 in the tour it doesn't come by accident.
Nope.
It comes by, as we touched, fortune always matters, but it comes by hard work. You're mounting tires, you're flipping tires, you're buying tires, you're grooving and siping tires, and you're changing oil and you're changing gears. And
what do you think? You would know
I've
this,
done it
Jordan.
before.
So Rob Van Mill won the tour. What do you think his investment was to run the whole tour?
I guess I don't know what his is, but I put a price tag of to pursue that thing with a grounded budget, if you will. I would want to put $1,000 a night on it, and that's just what I think. There's more for sure, and I'm sure there's less.
And that's with no breakdowns.
Well, that's without tearing up a motor. I think it costs $1,000 a night.
And what's
it's
interesting
a
about that?
$6,000 deal.
But the payout is $1,000.
If you win, yeah, and everybody's spending that. So, it's that vacation you don't take, at least not with the rest of the family. So, that would be my minimum grounded budget.
Is that where you come up with the phrase? This is one thing that I was wondering when you say bread and water. Is that where you're getting that from?
Well, that's Dylan's deal. That's kind of like the Williston night. See, you gotta get loaded up on bread and water so you're strong enough to make it through the task at hand. When Dylan and I say it, we're getting ready to go see hairballs. So it's 3 days of bread and water. So the headache is minimized on Sunday mornings.
Gotcha.
But nonetheless, it wouldn't be all bad to have an exercise regimen in place when it comes time to the tour. I'm telling you, it's physically demanding, it's financially demanding, and of course, it's a mental game all the time. You're always playing chess. So again, we know tires are $150 a piece.
You almost got to be 3 tires a night, don't you?
Yeah,
Wouldn't you think?
I think so.
Minimum of 2.
You're showing a good draw. You want to win that heat. We talk about qualifying and stuff like that. Well, winning the heat is going to get you in the draw. So, it's an expensive table of a poker, and it's just a high ante table. Like I said, I've had the joy of being able to do it many times. I just don't see for me in my environment that kind of numbers giving me a satisfactory return. That's just where I'm at, age and my environment. But I applaud those that can do it, and I sure enjoy watching them. So I would think that the modifieds might even be a little steeper than that, just because of the 3-tire, 4-tire deal. More cars. Again, you want to have your best presentation, and these guys are planning. A lot of these guys are planning for next year already. So I mean, to have to change and only put on 2 tires when the plan was to put on 4 all 6 nights, and you got to back off to 2, all of a sudden your mind is racing. You're making up excuses, and all of a sudden maybe you spun out in front of the field there, and things weren't as adhered as. Yeah. You start blaming yourself for things like that, and things just get mentally messy. So, but yeah, no, the bread and water deal, that's just a general statement of, get rested up for this deal. So
Dakota Trackside, they're a necessity at these tracks.
Well, they are. And a bunch of drivers will travel with a fair amount of stuff, but nonetheless, you might come with a spare radiator, but on the third night, you might need another one. So, you're banging up the front end, or you need some tubing or bumpers or stuff like that.
Even us. We try to keep a spare, just about everything on the front end, a radiator, stuff in the trailer that we need. But sometimes it's something you don't have, or if it's a 3-day weekend, if you're up in Estevan for 2 and you come back and hit an Underwood or a Minot or whatever, by the time you get to Minot, you're walking over to the parts trailer, just depending on how the weekend went.
You tore up both your control arms on the left front.
It
The
all
spare got
depends
tore
on-
up on the second night, and you're looking for a replacement for the third night. So sometimes bad luck comes in threes, and you've only got a spare. So, Dakota Trackside is a very important part of it. Wheels and tires are probably, and fuel is probably their biggest 3 things that are moving. But it's all, brake pads. We talked about the brake pad deal before, and I'm sure plenty of that was moving around too. Brakes are an important part of this.
Stock cars, what kind of fuel are you putting in? Is everyone using the same fuel?
A VP 110, 110 fuel, Sunoco, a VP 110.
So you're not getting shell from Marketplace?
Well, I am. I'm blending it, but and a couple of us are. I think it actually runs a little bit better, but.
Are these secrets? Are you?
No. Well, I don't know. Well, in the world of race fuels, if you will, they say there's no need to run more octane than you need. So with stock cars we're talking about, they're a 10.5 to 1 motor. So I know they don't need 110 octane, because that 110 octane is probably good enough for 13 and 14 to 1 compression motors. So I think cutting it with Shell from Marketplace is exactly where I get it, because there's no ethanol in it. So
nice.
so I'm a 4 gallon to 1 gallon guy. And I know some racers that have ran it straight and been successful with it, and I'm about ready to try it because race gas is expensive. Now the sport mod guys and the hobby guys, I'm understanding, and I'm going to use our friend Robbie as my test guy here. Robbie is, as he says, Schatz' finest in this case. So because it's close to him, and we've seen reports out there that show that pump gas make the most power on those 9-to-1 motors. So not only is it the most affordable, but it's the best performing that we have read. Those say a 5 horsepower, 6 foot-pound torque deal. So at that point, with it being cheaper, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I just want to race as efficiently or as reasonably as we can. So
we have not run race gas in a crate motor halfway through 2012, 2013.
So you're 10 years plus.
When we were running open motors, and then we made that switch in 2012 to a crate motor, we went down a path of continuing to run the race gas,
110s.
not knowing, or not knowing any better. And then with us traveling and talking to others, they're looking at us like, why are you wasting your money? It runs just as good, if not better, on that pump gas.
And we've seen some tests, and of course, the powers that be probably don't want you to know those truths. But again, as you reflected, we see very little engine problems, and when we do, I don't know that I see it in a lack of octane. Say a torn up top of the piston or something like that would represent some kind of fuel deficiency. So. Boy, I'm getting closer and closer to getting ready to run it straight. So I haven't yet, but I can share that Adam's on the same formula that I'm on. So,
and quite a few people are. Everybody has their theory. What's right, what's wrong, I have no idea. Because here's my with racing in general. You got to do all the work in the shop. You have to put it together. You have to try to blend the fuel. You have to try to find every ounce of performance as possible.
Yeah.
When you get on that racetrack, it's still up to you to drive the car.
Yeah.
It's still up to you behind the wheel to make the corrections in the car necessary to make it fast on that given racetrack on that given night.
Yeah. Right. So mechanically, you want everything to just happen subconsciously, because you don't have time to pay attention to that. So yeah, and as we nudge into getting away from some of that expensive fuel, we're finding that it hasn't changed our reliability in it at all. So, and I'm a little bit conservative on timing. I think probably the most power is on a 35, 36 type degree timing, and I'm more of a 32, 33, 34 guy at the most. Little protection on my side of the game. So, as you say, there's so much adjustment behind the wheel that I feel that I can master some of that a little bit more before I need a horsepower and a half out of the fuel.
The crate motor. You run crates in the
stock cars do not. Everything is built there. So
then, with all the adjustments we talked about, all the holes on the mods, and you talk camber all the time. Now you're talking timing and fuel and all. The crate has got to take it, make it a lot easier, because that removes so much.
Right. It does. It's a hydraulic cam on top of it, so you never check the lash either, per se. Typical crate motor stuff, roughly a 20-night valve spring type replacement deal, things like that. So
100 plus.
yeah. Well, yeah, I would say the front-running cars at the Tour were significantly less, but you're right. And the 602s, there's plenty of you guys out there with 100-plus nights on them. So, so you want to keep that there sharp. You know, the 604 went up 400 RPM this year, and I'm surprised there has not, actually last year I think, but I'm surprised there hasn't been more failure because there isn't much valve spring there at 6,400, and then they threw it, you know, they allowed it up to 6,800. I really thought there was going to be more troubles with that, but it doesn't seem to be. So, but again, with the hydraulic cam in it and stuff like that, the driver can almost forget about the motor stuff, other than oil change maintenance and stuff like that, and really concentrate on the four corners of the car.
So it's illegal to run a crate motor in.
It's not an option in a stock car.
You can't even run it. Like, so if you're thinking in your mind you can run a 602 or 604, don't even show up with it because technically it is illegal. They're not going to allow you to run it.
Both of those motors have heads that are not allowed in stock cars. So one's aluminum and the other one's a Vortec head. So, and neither head is allowed in the stock car. So, but in the stock car, we'll call it a spec motor. We can use an EQ or a Dart head on a flat top short block at a 10.5-to-1 compression with a hydraulic or a mechanical flat tappet cam. And you have a choice of a 5/7 length rod, which is OEM length, or a 6-inch rod, which is kind of a performance deal. I'll share with you that I'm at the moment struggling with flat tappet camshafts. I just I had one go flat. I put another one in. I had that go bad here. So I wasn't able to run
the lobes are just wearing off?
Yeah. The lifters need to rotate to keep everything happy, and they are on my test stand, but they're not in my race cars. So racing's always a struggle, and
that's
we're
new.
working at it.
Doing it for 40 years, and this is something new.
Yeah, and I'm calling up some friends that are good at this, and they're saying that we got guys that just out of the blue are having troubles. Nobody knows for sure what it is. It is frustrating. I can assure you of that. It takes a tremendous amount of time and prayer, and neither one are working right now. We're back to the motor that keeps getting put back in when the cams don't work, so we're ready to go to Underwood already.
But make you feel like an oil deal, that the oil isn't giving you what you need?
In trying to find the answer, we're certainly getting a little bit of everybody's opinion. I don't know what to. I really don't have a clear answer.
Back in high school, Slick 50 was a big deal.
Slick
Put that
50,
in, and there you go.
Well, where is it now? They talk about the hardness of the lifters and the camshaft, the taper on the camshaft, the zinc in the oil and stuff like that. Again, we thought we had a solid program. There's some thought right now I have that the camshafts is not parallel with the crankshaft. Maybe I'm not getting quite the rotation I think I should be getting. We're measuring things a little bit differently now. We'll figure it out. We always do. But, man, when it's not good,
it's frustrating.
It just keeps going bad. So we're ready to spring back anytime. So, but again, yes, no, the stock car motor is a built motor. So,
so
and
that all gets big decisions when you want to change classes. When you left the A-mods going to the stock cars, you know.
It was huge.
Yeah,
it was huge. And it's huge even coming up because, again, you're not going to carry that crate motor with you. So it's an island car. It really is, let alone the anxiety of the body. If you like to keep your body kind of nice and it gets bumped in one corner and diamonds the whole thing across, you're like, oh, no. So it's a weird class. Again, I'm attracted to it because of the built motor, but that exact thing for me is a deterrent to many because they like the reliability and the availability of the crate motor, but yet again, as a hobby or a sport mod person wanting to get to come up, they can bring nothing with them. In fact, they really can't even for an A mod. Possibly the chassis if you're a sport mod because they're built kind of as a universal car. They can go either way, but a hobby guy coming up really doesn't have anything to bring with them. the chassis with a
trailer.
lot of work. The trailer, yeah, the helmet, yes. So it is a unique car that way. They seem to suffer engine problems eventually. I shared around that 20-night deal, if not earlier. Some run longer. That one I had run long until I cracked a cylinder, and it's just like I have not been able to recover from it. Come at it with a ton of experience. You still need to have some fortune for things to go right in that too. So.
And for even a guy like me who's been around it now 20 years, been racing 20 years, which is crazy to think. Actually 25. By me jumping in the car in Estevan, that solidified racing into 25th year. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Um,
What a ride.
the stock car class scares me for the motor deal. I would love to get a stock car and go there. I don't have the money. I can get one. One. If that thing goes south, I'm done.
No.
I'll have to beg, borrow, steal. I'll be putting a 602 crate in, or you know,
Yeah.
and where I enjoy
It's a tricky commitment. It is.
where I enjoy the crate motor deal, like Max's Hobby Stock this winter. I just jump on the old Facebook and see motors for sale, and I go pick up a $1,500 motor here and a $1,600 crate motor there, and then pick up another one over here. Well, I end up with 3 motors, and I'm not even into them for $4,000 or $4,500. I have 3 crate motors.
You've shared that, and you'll pick up one that they'll flat say has got 80+ nights on it. That's not scaring you. They're
Nope.
at a point that they want to replace that just for the obvious
Yep.
conversation. So in your defense, you rarely have troubles. So
We hit a
that's-
string. We hit a string last fall.
We're-
Max broke one. I broke one. So the one in Max's car had 150+ nights on it. There was nothing in the one in Max's car last year that he broke at Oktoberfest. That didn't owe us a thing. That was a $1,500 crate motor that we had 2 seasons on. You know, we raced it 2 full
I can't
seasons.
consciously tell you that there's a better way, because even doing it the way I'm doing,
Yeah.
I'm got camshaft trouble, so it's
we-
back out.
So we're hearing $1,500 crate.
used.
What
Used.
What do you
Used.
estimate
Well
that
used.
Rob Van Mill's motor would?
Stock
cost?
car stuff is it's got a base price of $10,000 new.
So to
So-
understand,
That's
a new
they're
crate
in that
motor.
area.
If you're going to be a hobby stock and you want that new crate motor with the dyno carb, and you're going to go all the way, you're into it for $6,500, $7,300, depending on where you're going.
Yeah, seven's a grounded number. So
Depending on which
So-
route you're going.
stock
And-
car motors are a little bit more. Some last forever and some don't, and same with crate motors. I mean, crate motors, some of them break too.
Yep.
New ones too. So
2 of them. We had 2 of them. 20, whatever it was. Brock came out in a sport mod, had less than 5 nights on a crate motor. Tougher Than Dirt Tour shows up, and he breaks it up in Estevan. And then he puts the new crate motor, another one in that we had sitting there that had 10 nights on it, and boom, that one's gone.
Yikes.
Within 2 weeks of one another, 2, we're calling them newer crate motors, gone. It's
frustrating. It is. The best people in the business blow them up every Sunday on TV, NASCAR. So I mean, they're a tough piece of the game. Electric cars, I don't know.
well, then the battery. Then I'll be
The
getting.
batteries burn up. So
You'll be running an
but,
Interstate, and I'll be running a Die Hard, and Travis Hagen will have
Duracells.
a ninjutsu, and he'll beat us all.
So again, just the man and machine. It's a challenge. There's no
There-
doubt about it.
There's
so.
no right way to do it. My thing is, with a young kid like Max, with a crate motor, even doing it the route we're going, where we're picking up these used ones, putting them in, what else does he need? He's still 15. He's not consistent. He's still learning his craft of driving a car.
Yeah.
Not even racing the race car yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So still the most important piece of the racing is the driver. Then what's next? If you could rank what's most important. Driving is number 1. The driver's number 1.
In my mind.
That's going to make the biggest difference. And just to back that up, pick out your favorite driver and stick them in your favorite upcoming guy's car, and your expectations are going to be higher just on a driver switch. So that's gonna
Right.
tell you right there that the driver's gonna be a big part of it. Now you let them live in it for a week and start adjusting it. The chassis, I guess, would probably be next.
Over the motor.
Setup, chassis.
I would say over the motor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd rather have a great handling car than a powerful motor for sure.
Because really, ultimately, when you get down to it, I wish I was really good at like technical stuff and making diagrams and putting stuff out there. Because corner speed is going to win you more races than straightaway speed. But corner speed adds more straightaway speed. Does that make sense? I mean,
As I call it, ground speed is traction because it's harder to spin the tires the faster you're going.
You can have 100 more horsepower than me, and you can go down the straightaway a half a second. You can get from turn 2 to turn 3 a half a second faster than me. But if I'm going from turn 1 to turn 2 1 second faster than you, I'm going to end up beating you. You catch?
Yeah, that's actually a nice scenario. Yeah, because you're going to get there, and then you're going to hunch up on the brakes and skate in a little bit and slide. Where a lesser speed car than what we're seeing with the crate motors on the chip is that they'll carve into the corner deeper under control.
Yep.
They're less sliding. They're less input from the driver, if you will. The old saying is that the biggest adjustment is to loosen up behind the wheel.
I love how you say that.
So, and if you take it, if you take it in a constructive manner, you look around and go, yeah, I'm going in and I'm wiggling the car on the brakes, so I need to get that more consistent.
Estevan, the last race when Adam Goff and Austin Doe were battling, Adam was running a very traditional line, keeping it straight, and Austin was swooping and diving and really
getting that high low, trying to get that roller coaster off the corner to.
And every lap
to
was
overtake
different.
it.
It looked like Austin was going to do it. All right, this one is going to happen. This one's going to happen. And I think Trevor was saying he's got to pull in behind him, and eventually. Adam
wore
said,
him out.
I'm just going to go,
I'm just going to stay here. He stayed focused on his line, and you're right. I thought Austin attacked him with everything he had, and it just didn't capitalize.
And in a deal like that with Austin running second, you can't follow him. You ain't gonna win by following him.
You can't go through him.
Move it around. Move around.
Yeah, I liked his attack. I like that high-low swing, and I think it's the most offensive move you can do. Adam was just strong. Adam had it secured, and again, we don't have mirrors, but Adam did a good job of, protecting his position, making sure he was 180ing it off the corners, not getting Austin an opening to cut across. He kept it.
And it's just
covered.
interesting because your race was very, very similar. You're riding the rim, and Raynard is on the bottom, but your line worked up there.
Let's jump to Esteban.
Do you want to? So we finish up the tour. Do you want to hit the 14th in Underwood real quick first?
Yeah.
I wasn't here. I'm gonna have to rely on you guys. Darn TV failed their business plan by not showing up and broadcasting it, so I didn't even get to watch.
Yeah. Boy.
Well, I just got to
I'll
I
bring
just got
up
I'm
one
number
thing
one.
that really stood out on that night. That trying to find the fast groove. It seemed like you drivers really like to put your front left on that inside cushion. It seemed like a little bit more enhanced cushion.
There's moisture down there. That's what we're aiming for.
You're almost lifting trying to ride that front left on that rim in there.
On the tires
on
the bottom?
Yeah, but it wasn't tires that night. It seemed like you guys must have had to blade a little bit and get.
Had some dirt up against them. That yeah. Well, again, we're chasing our memories here. I've raced quite a few times since then. So,
you guys got bunched up at 4.
Yeah.
That was the 2,000 to win.
That was 2,000 to win. That was Friday after the tour. Yeah. Yeah, I ended up having pretty severe damage out of that deal personally. So I DNF'd that deal. I ended up having frame damage on that deal. So that was pretty severe.
Well,
there.
I think you had like 4 guys pile driving you in the back.
Yeah, it was the front that got it, though. It was a kid come across come from the top to the bottom, and I was there. So, yes.
Flory ended up picking up the win.
Yep, the Flory boys showed up. It was an all Flory front row.
It was a Joe and Dalton front row. Yeah, Joe went around in 1 and 2, and went to the back there. And like you say, that deal there, I got ran into there, whatever there, and then bunched them up behind me. We were 1 lap into a restart, so we were all there anyway. So
You went a little Sterling
busy.
Marlin there, hopped out of the car. I was like, hey, man. I was worried about you hopping out.
I thought the rear end had gotten tore out of the car. I was high centered; it wouldn't move. So I thought, is the rear end still in this thing? And Mike was running the tow truck. He goes, I think you're high centered. So I had looked underneath it, and by God, the tires were this high off the ground.
Because that big rut of dirt, right?
Well, it kind of got up on the tires. So yeah, so it just was kind of it didn't feel like it was off the ground, but yet it was. So he goes, I think you're good. So I strapped it back in, but I had wheels pointing everywhere. So it was a danger. So I pulled it in. But
A lot of cool cars there. Zach Madrid showed up to run that night there.
yeah,
Dan McAtoon, Brennan Board came over.
yeah.
Kevin Roberts.
We were happy with that. Like I say, it's always a long enough tour the way it is, but they hung around and again the Florries just proved just how strong talent is right here in North Dakota. Rob wasn't able to come over. We understood that he had plans with the better half there to go to the lake, and I get it. And of course Gregor had motor troubles, so we'd have liked to see those two there too. So maybe next year, but no.
Overall, a success though for a racetrack.
Success. We don't have meetings in the summer, so but everybody was high fiving. It was successful. So we'll get into the brass tacks of it if there's any tweaks that need to be made. But I would say right now I would go on record as saying we'll go forward with a similar event next year. So
It was fun. It seemed like it was really busy on that front stretch with the cars. I mean,
and seeing cars that hadn't normally been there were fun to see because they were finding their own way around it. And when you get used to seeing us locals there, we kind of all go to the same spot because that's what experience does to us. But they were doing different things and being successful at it. So it was an awakening for both parties. So,
I mean,
excuse me.
as you guys were racing, we were at the Anderson, Indiana bowling alley after driving 16 straight hours to get there in time for Peyton to bowl. And as she was releasing her ball and she missed a couple boards and went too wide, I'm like, ooh, I bet somebody went too high down in Underwood and went off the top of the track.
probably in turn two.
I was just trying to relate to it, as she was bowling. So
I want to jump in right there and just say I thought it was so cool, Peyton's performance. I know it isn't our race topic, but our race families all got kids, you know, and everybody's got kids, and everybody's kids are in different things, school sports or whatever, bowling, hockey, basketball, whatever it is. And I'm always impressed that, even our children have got, a pretty good sense of competition to them. And I was cheering on Peyton the whole time there. She come out of there, I think, with a 109th out of 600 bowlers.
Yep.
I mean, good for her. I was excited.
It's one of the deals. It was kind of eye-opening for Jenny and I, too, because we had college scouts coming to talk to us and college coaches. And to find out that your daughter is in the top 50, per se, in the nation for Minot, North Dakota.
Top 15%. That's awesome.
Well, I mean, of schools want her to come bowl at their college. And you don't realize that when we go to the tournaments around here in Minot. I took her to one in Minnesota last year that had a lot of college scouts there, and she got put on the radar there. And then with what she did down in Indianapolis this year, she really elevated herself, and I hope there's a future. I hope she decides to go to college. I hope she takes advantage of a college scholarship. There's definitely one there for her.
You shared there's 2-3 that are very interested in scholarship stuff, and that all matters.
It all matters.
I'm in the middle of it.
If Max wants to continue racing, Peyton needs to get a scholarship.
I'm right in the middle of it. I understand everything you're saying.
It's
awesome.
Max get a sport mod or Peyton go to college. Which route we going? It's.
And again, I guess I gave away the punchline there at the end there, but earlier in the week there, she was in the top. She was in the top
30.
60.
Well, after day one, I think she was 39th or whatever. And then she went to 51st, and then to
58th or something like that.
58th.
I mean, it was damn girl, top 10% here.
Yep.
So
and there was
cool.
There was only two North Dakota. No, there's three. There was one from Grand Forks, and then I'm gonna screw this up. Hopefully nobody with bowling families. If I remember right, there was three North Dakota young ladies there, and a young gal from Mandan actually performed better and made the cut. She was in the top 50 when it was all said and done.
All said and done.
And that's somebody that Peyton bowls against weekly.
I see.
So there is some talent
Yeah.
bowling wise up here in North Dakota. It's pretty dang cool to be a part of. And
Go North Dakota.
Hey,
that was nice.
the bowling itself, I try to teach both my kids perseverance. No matter how bad it's going, this is such a small part of our life. And it's such a great life. Let's figure out a way to get through it and make ourselves better at the end. And the last day we were there, she was struggling. I've never seen my daughter struggle so much to throw a bowling ball. And I felt so terrible for her. But as a dad in that situation, there's nothing I can do. It's on them. There's absolutely nothing I can do.
On the big stage. Yeah.
And when you have college coaches coming up to you, you know, I'm standing there, and he's standing right next to me, and he goes, "You Peyton's dad?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm Peyton's dad." Man, I'm just impressed. She has struggled all day. She has a smile on her face. She's congratulating the other bowlers that are on the lanes around her. She's continuously moving her spot, changing her ball, and she never once quit. Or, you know, like, they never seen quit in her body language. They never seen quit in her attitude. And at the end of it, she was smiling and laughing and giving hugs to the girls that she bowled with all week. Because you'd go into this deal not knowing anybody or knowing a couple. Well, by the end of the week, she made 10 friends. Yeah. It's, you know, it's kind of that personality that Peyton portrays.
Yeah.
And that meant more.
To know her, that all made sense, what you say. And but you're right. No getting down or.
Yeah.
You know.
And we're trying to teach Max the same thing. No matter how bad the night is at the racetrack, let's just take a step back and look how good life is.
Yeah, we're fortunate enough to do it.
We're fortunate enough to do it.
That's a good comment.
No, it's it was a long week because the mod tour, 16 hours, right into bowling. You know, then we had an all-day thing with college scouts and stuff. We had to meet with people on Saturday, so we didn't really get a break till Sunday.
Right.
Which is just the way it all worked, you know. But
it's all stuff you love to do.
I wouldn't do it. I'd do it again.
Yeah.
You want me to do it? I mean,
yeah.
It's probably our last one. So
there is talent with bowlers. You know, we were talking about Mclean County and John Breckel and Becca were announcing, and
John's a bowler.
He's throwing 300s all the time.
Yep.
Salute.
Yep.
That's impressive.
There's, I mean, the Craig family. There's so many. I learned. I mean, sitting in a pro shop down there in Indiana, and I know Indiana is a hotbed for sprint car racing.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what they're known for. Indy cars, sprint cars.
Terre Haute dirt tracks. Yep.
Yep. That's kind of what they're known for. And
midgets. Yep.
On the wall was a picture of a midget. And I'm like looking at it, and he goes, the guy behind the counter, and I had a racing shirt on. Brandon always has a racing shirt on. And he goes, "Do you race?" And then it struck up from that little thing of "Do you race?" to me, struck up an hour-and-a-half conversation that Jenny had to come in and grab me and say, "We're leaving."
And you're like, "No, I don't race."
Yeah.
I
ran a racetrack for 8 years.
Yeah. But it's a lot of fun to meet. But there's a lot of cross between bowling and racing when you get down to it. So.
Yeah.
Well worth the week. Unfortunately, missed Underwood the 14th. I gave you guys plenty of notice because I told you last December that I wasn't going to be there. So
we still missed you. You did.
Christopher Zenz popped a motor during the Tougher Than Dirt tour at Underwood. Came out and won that night. That was cool to see.
Yep. Yeah, made the points close. We just kind of talked about it. We'll get the championship night and maybe shed some light on kind of what all went down and why or where or whatever. So, Chris Zenz picks up. I mean, points really shook up that night. Zenz wins, Brock's fourth. It's setting up a stage for a closer championship battle. So.
Yes. Yeah, right. That was a points night for the other classes.
Yep.
Because of the Tougher Than Dirt being their night off.
Yep.
And then the 2000 to win was the night off for the stock cars. Yes.
Yep. So now we're in Indianapolis, bowling all week. I'm getting a phone call saying there's a car ready for me to race. And Brock drives all the way over to Tioga to get it, brings it back, puts it in the shop. Max is supposed to change the oil, check everything over, do the the fine tuning, make sure everything's kosher on it. And I show up on Peyton doesn't make the cut. It was all dependent on Peyton making the cut on Friday. So if she was in the top 82, I don't know how we were going to make it back because that means she bowled all day Friday.
It's 16 hours to 16
and it's
hours.
16 hours.
To Minot.
To Minot.
2 more to Estevan.
Yes. But she didn't make the cut, so we got up and left at 6 a.m.
We're ramping up for Estevan.
Friday, yeah, we're ramping up to Estevan Dirt Wars. Friday, get up in the morning, 6 a.m., drive all day. Midnight or so, we're rolling into Minot. Go to bed. Max and I get up in the morning, get the cars ready, and take off to Estevan. By noon, we're on the road to Estevan. I've slept one night in my damn bed.
Did Max get the jobs done on this car?
I'm going to call it 70%. There's some stuff that he didn't do that he could have done.
3 quarts of oil instead of the traditional 5?
Oh, no, he got all the oil in it. he had all the oil in it. I had to get on him pretty hard because I had to negotiate and get some things done while sitting in Indianapolis calling friends for favors to get some things taken care of that he should have did.
Your mindset starting the shift.
Well, the Dirt Wars thing, so now we're leading into Dirt Wars. I said it in my interview when I was able to be interviewed on that Sunday night. The original Dirt Wars was 2016. Riley Raynard was the winner. I was the one that was able to sit in victory lane and interview him after the race that night. That picture is there. I see it all the time on Facebook. I don't have a copy of it anywhere, but I probably should. Mm-hmm. And I kind of always wanted to race the event. That's where this whole thing got started. Deon Iverson and I were sitting there talking. I think it was maybe even Mod Tour night or the week before Mod Tour when we were up in Estevan. And I said, I'd really like to race Dirt Wars. Do you have a car still sitting around? Well, yeah, I do. Well, that turned into him calling Brock and me calling Deon. And, it just turned into come get the damn car and race it. So that's where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool. Dirt Wars.
Night 1.
Riley Raynard, start the night off.
How cool was that, huh?
Oh, man, that was cool. That was cool.
Tribute. Made everybody leave the pit area.
All drivers and crews.
All drivers and crews leave the pit area.
Are out
up
in front.
to the front.
You got Riley up there doing
his
the
family.
Yep. Yeah, Devin and Wendy and the brothers. And wow, that was touching.
Yeah. Renamed the event Riley Raynard Dirt Wars.
Yeah, that was awesome. That really was awesome. Trevor did a good job of explaining where he's been and what he's doing and what's going on, and of course Riley's able to get up and announce too, get up in the booth and announce. But so we started off tonight with acknowledging that, and that was special. Went through the anthems and stuff, and that was cool. 2-day deal. And
explain what it means, Dirt Wars. What does it mean?
I guess it's just what they labeled. It's a hobby stock special.
Yeah, to go back to 2016, the Northern Sport Mod Tour at that time was only sport mods. It was kind of the Northern Sport Mod Tour got started between Dave Ravinius, Tom Henderson, Brian Klaus. I'm talking them 3 tracks. You got Dickinson, Minot, Williston, and then they brought Brandon in to help broadcast it. Well, quickly it became Brandon just run the whole thing, and it was just a sport mod tour. Well, in 2016, just sport mods. That's why if you look up here behind me, there's only 2016, there's only a sport mod right here. This is a diecast from every year.
Oh, okay.
Okay, 2016 is a sport
I never
mod.
put the numbers together. Okay.
And then my brother was the inaugural champion, so I got his car next to it. With that paint scheme.
Look at that.
So,
numbers all make sense.
they wanted to make an event for the hobby stocks. That's a long-winded answer. And so they put together this thing called Dirt Wars, a 2-night event, add up the points, and the hobby stocks are the focus. Because at that time, they didn't have sport mods in 2016.
They did not. Right.
So this
hobby
was,
stock cars and
and it's just continued. They started it 1 year, and now they've just continued it, and it hasn't went away. Well, fitting that they rename it the Riley Raynard Dirt Wars. He was the inaugural winner of it. They've had guys from Iowa come up. David Reeks has came up. So that's kind of where they call it Dirt Wars, just because it was kind of a U.S.
And your
Canada.
heart is in the hobbies, so that's why you wanted to even more involved.
I just wanted to be a part of it. The biggest thing is I was a part of it on the broadcasting side. I was a part of it on the announcing side. Well, I have an opportunity now because there's been some complaints. Those of you that watched on TV, I apologize. The TV crew up there that I used to video the races isn't the best. I'm getting beat up pretty hardcore over them right now. So, but it allows me, by them doing the video, it allows me to get in a race car.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where kind of everything had to line up. You talk about things having to line up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Me making phone calls. Is Bamboo Shoot's going to be there? Am I going to make it back in time? Is Peyton going to make the top 84 cut? Everything had to line up.
And it did.
And it did.
And
it did.
And it did. Yeah.
So and the unfortunate part is I don't get to watch many races when I have my car there, when I'm racing.
Yeah.
So me to get up and watch the races, I don't think I was up in the stands once.
It's tougher than it sounds.
And you have Max's car there, and we're working on that. But did Steve Pfeiffer swept both nights? Won the mods convincingly.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah.
And he didn't start up front either. Started 7th the first night. I think he started further back the second night.
And you know what I think about that
very
is
strong.
The mod tour. We talked about last time how the mod tour helps make everyone better.
Mm-hmm.
And Steven during the tour started on the front row and faded. I think he had maybe a 4 or 5, top 5 finish. But obviously he wants to win that thing.
Yeah.
So he takes what he learns from that night and goes back to the drawing board and comes back and, like you said, just rocks it.
Convincingly. I mean, wow, just strong. And very good the first night, and then second night you're always wondering, it's still happening. And I've just come back with the 1-2 punch. It was solid.
It seems like, might be a preposterous statement of the week, Estevan seems like it's getting to be Steven's home track.
Well,
he is really.
He's referred to it as it's the closest, so
yeah,
like 40 miles. So, yeah, and he been there. I mean, he was even there during COVID. So he is participated there, and yeah, I don't know where the points are at up there right now, but he got to be right in the middle of it. So
I can pull them up as soon as we're done here.
But strong.
Yeah, Austin Doe, night 1 of the stock cars. Once again, to give you guys any insight of how the racing was or what was going on, I got nothing because you didn't have a very good night according to the finish. You had a green arrow.
A green, well, yeah.
No, you didn't. You had a red arrow. You started 5th and finished 9th.
I can't remember what happened there. What did happen there? Been a while.
Yeah.
Car was going around there, tried to miss it there, and Adam and I got together and yeah, spindle again. So I did finish, but a little less than ideal. Fixed it. I think I got a 5th the second night. Does that sound right? 6th maybe?
I'll pull it up here in a little bit here. Robbie Roselli kind of gets off the schneid up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he rocked in the beginning of the season, went into a mid-season slump, and now he's just strong again.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Robbie was strong. Again, the stock cars run second, so I am able to watch the modifieds, most of the modifieds, and all of the hobbies. So
Caden Jortland picks up night 1 win. Kind of the controversy here was kind of weird because Diesel Raynard, his brother is Riley, had a top 3, I believe. He finished 3rd and had a DQ because of springs.
Yeah, I'd heard that there, and of course they plead that they didn't know that there was a change, but there's a maximum height of the springs, and I don't even know what it is for sure. I think it's 13-inch, but they had a 16. Or am I off?
I don't know. I guess I shouldn't even speak. I thought it was spring split. You can't. So the trick in the hobby stocks, we can't run weight jacks, we can't run spacers, we can't do any of that. So the trick back in the day, I'll call it back in the day, 2012 to 15. Was you'd run a 13-inch spring in the left rear and a 12-inch in the right rear.
I see.
That was the trick. I don't know if that's what they had or not, but you can't. You have to run. Now there's a rule starting last year,
So if you have a 13, they both got to be 13?
They both got to be 13.
Maybe that's what it is.
If you have a 12, they both have to be 12s.
Okay.
And then they made that bumper height rule on the back, so you can't put two 13s in there and jack it way up. You still got to have a height rule on the back.
That's a hobby rule.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a hobby rule, hobby only rule.
I'm glad you brought that up because it seems like watching Dakota Speedway, final night of the tour, that Brandon Labatt's, he looks all kind of jacked up.
Well, I think
that
there's
being a stock car, that's a different deal.
Right.
Because we do have weight jacks, and we can run 16-inch springs, and we can run split springs.
Right.
So,
we cannot.
So hobbies cannot.
So I don't know exactly. I didn't dive into detail. I know we thought we were at a major advantage by sticking that 13-inch in the left rear and 12-inch in the right rear, back in the day. But when the rule came out, we took a car and we put it on scales, and it was about a 16-pound difference when it came down to bite or cross weight or whatever. It didn't add up to be a whole bunch when we put the same high springs in. So,
so Diesel had gotten dinged on that. Good race, though.
Great.
Yeah.
I had a pretty good view of the great race. Max, my view of the first lap thing is a little bit different. I was on the track, so I kind of seen what was going on. Cruz Wilson took the green. He wanted the top. Max was still on the outside of him. Max bounces off the wall, comes back, hits Cruz. Cars go spinning everywhere. They put Max to the tail. It's one of them deals. Max lived to fight another day. Roll out of the throttle.
He got tail slapped into it and bounced back off of it, and then got the call. Like you say, it's
live to fight another day.
You can dissect it all day long, and you can choose both sides. One side was chosen, so. Yeah.
I'm glad that I have the opportunity to talk to you guys because I'm watching it at home, and I'm limited to what I can see based on the TV. So I'm seeing.
You can complain about him if you want. I'm taking complaints.
Well, I'm seeing the green flag drop, and you see Max and a car come up on him, and the next thing you see is Cruz Wilson driving through Max off of turn 1, and then Max gets the flag, and I'm like, how can that possibly be?
Well, again, he picked it up on the reflection off the wall there, and then that did get into Cruz, but
it all depends on
where you picked up on it.
Where the officials picked up on it, who's seen it at what angle. It's a call that's made. Being a race director in Underwood, I'll live with every call that's made. Sometimes I might go ask you a question though, and just say,
it was close.
Yeah,
this is what I saw. What did you say?
Yeah, what were you looking at per se when you made this call?
To stop right there, just to sharpen up the call. I mean, at the end of the day, we want to have the right call.
Well, whether it's the right call, wrong call. Max, I want to have a conversation. This is what you're going to do different next time. Mm-hmm. When this situation arises, this is what you're going to do different next time. Simple as that. It's just like we talked a little bit about just this previous Sunday night in Underwood before the show started, and we were talking about the pass for the lead. What can you do different, Max?
What can we make out of this constructively?
There you go. Mm-hmm. And that goes back to
criticism, as in let's get better next time.
Yeah, and that goes back to, what I try to teach my kids. No matter how bad of a day it is, it's just such a small part of life. We're still here. Life's good.
So what runs through my mind, if I could go back to Williston and the Wayne Johnson call when the leader was
okay.
I'm thinking the dude on the pole position controls the world. Is he get preferential treatment because he's on the pole position?
I'm going to say a little bit, because he's leading the parade. So I'm going to say the leader is a little bit protected. Yes.
I didn't go over and talk to any of the officials. I was going to go talk to him. I was going to bring Max up there and talk to him and try to get there. Not mad. I wasn't going to yell. No bitching. No complaining. It was just going to be a simple let's learn from this. Mm-hmm. We chose not to do it. I chose just to move on. Told Max he's got to move on. There's another night of racing the next night. So it's just what it is. But I think they picked up on it late. I think when they
again it started off of 4.
Right.
But it
you saw
matured in 1.
There you go.
So
I think by the naked
depending
eye,
on where you picked up on it.
Yeah, I think they picked up on it late. They seen 47 into 27 is what it is.
I think if you would show
I missed the beginning
the
of that,
video footage
'cause I
of
was
that.
watching everybody.
Right.
And we were in a
So-
court of law, and you showed that, the jury would be like, how can you?
Cruz Wilson himself came and apologized or said something to Max that said it was on him. So,
Because he went to the right too aggressively.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And you could see that later on the race. You called it. He wanted the top. He was good up there. And, yeah, I mean, when the green goes, I want to get up top as fast as you can.
Yeah, but you still got to do it. You still got to do it safely.
Yep.
And you asked, is the leader a little bit protected? And it is. I'm going to get off topic a little bit. There's a picture going around on Facebook that shows the different points of the car and who's in control. That picture is not accurate. I will always tell you the car ahead is kind of in control. You've always got to be defensive from the middle back because this guy can't see from the middle back. Only one of you can. So that one of you has always got to be the defense for both of you, which is counteracting the Cruz question that you're asking. But nonetheless, you can't just – to me, you just can't belligerently go blasting across. You got to be yielding into the next lane, letting everybody know what you're thinking. And then if you feel something, just kidding, and straighten it out. So
there's a difference. So in
leave
my
that lane open.
In my mind, there's a difference between lap 10 and lap green flag. Lap green flag, you know you're starting 2x2. You know you're doubled up.
It's a two-laner going in.
You know that going into turn 1, just expect to be side by side. Give a guy a lane.
And there's going to be two lanes. There
Correct.
has to be because there's two
Correct.
lanes coming out of 4.
That's the only.
Even if the top is preferred,
No hard
and
feelings.
you're not there, you still have to not. When you have to anticipate they're there on the first lap. You can't go right to the top unless you just are certain you just blasted them hard off of 4, which wasn't the case.
Max and I went back to the hotel. We watched it. I explained to him what he can do different. I try to use my experience of racing to explain what he can do differently next time. And I said, honestly, and I go, Max, you're getting sick of hearing this. You got to lift. When you see that coming up and you're going to get squeezed there, lift, go to fight another day.
That sucks.
Yeah, but you have to.
It sucks, but I'm glad you're right where you're at because that's when I walked in tonight. You guys were in the middle of one of these conversations, and I added to it on a different track on a different day. But when you're getting a full view of this guy coming around, you eventually got to protect yourself. You're going to have to tap the brakes and let him in, cut under, or just give up. But at any rate, you're going to have to protect yourself.
But
living to fight another day in second place or right behind the leader is way better than getting called for a yellow.
But he wasn't behind the leader. He was beside him, and the greens dropped. And so, man, that's almost like saying, Wayne, you got to just say, after you.
After you. Well,
you know,
there's an art to it.
So you go,
wrong, but it, there's an art to it.
You go to my race. I started 10th. I went out for the heat race. The damn thing wanted to spin out every time I turned it in the corner, and
it was free. It was loose.
I had never felt a car do what this car was doing.
In every other car, we would be going front brake, baby, all of it.
So we come in the pits and we're changing. Well,
hobbies can't do that. They don't have this. So.
Number one thing, I went out there and I hit the throttle and it just revved up, and something felt weird. Didn't feel like I was putting power to the ground, and all of a sudden it'd take off, and then it'd do it a couple more times throughout the race, and I swear to God, I felt clutch slippage. The clutch was slipping. And Corey Hawksprung and Corey came up, nice enough to come up and help me work on Max's car and my car. And I said, the clutch is slipping. Nope, you're spinning your tires. You're sideways. You're spinning your tires. I said, Corey, the clutch is slipping. There's something weird. I go, look at this thing, because it was the opposite of what Max's was in Williston. Max's was all the way down at the ground.
Yeah, couldn't get
this
it disengaged. It's way up high?
Way up high. And I go, listen to this thing when I release the clutch. It actually, when I was in first gear, I'd release it, and it would go, like it wouldn't release all the way. It would go, wah, like it would rev up a little bit, and then it would take off.
Like it had a torque converter.
Like I had a torque converter. That's what I was trying to explain, like I had a torque converter. Well, Corey says, well, let's fix it. So we throw it in the trailer. We go in the trailer with the 5-car, and we don't come back out till the stock cars are done with their feature.
Ooh.
We pulled the tranny back, put spacers in there, looked at the clutch, made sure everything was still kosher, put it back on.
Got some space in there.
We put a couple washers in between the bell housing and the
Oh, you brought the whole bell housing
Bowl
back.
house,
Okay.
yeah. Put some washers in between the
You
bell
couldn't
housing
get
and
the
the bowl.
throw out bearing far enough back.
Couldn't get it far enough
Ah.
back, so we put spacers in there.
Good thinking. Good thinking.
So you weren't engaging all the way.
Well, no, it was stuck engaged.
It was stuck trying to. Yeah, it didn't have any air gap up here. It was still hard.
Yeah.
So, which meant it was still trying to release, and you ran.
It wouldn't release all the way. The clutch
wouldn't
would be
release all the way.
partially in because it wouldn't release all the way.
So it was slipping.
So
Yep.
you were thrashing.
Corey Hawksprung was thrashing. He did more than I did. He can get his hand up stock floor pan, stock firewall,
Boy. Oh boy, snug.
snug. So it's a trick because somebody has to be up on top. Thankfully, we had a lift in the trailer so we could do it from underneath.
Yeah.
Corey's underneath with
You can get 4 bolts underneath.
with
You gotta
16 extensions,
and
and
a
I'm up on
swivel.
top putting the ratchet or putting the socket on the bolt so we can get it out. And
Get
then
the
you
top too.
slide the washer, we got it.
Yeah.
Go out. Didn't
Wow.
get to work on setup at all. Didn't work on a single setup. Go for the feature. The thing is so loose I can't even.
It's still free.
Still free. Still free.
And you could see that watching him.
Gingerly into the corner. I'm like, come on, Brandon, you ain't been out of him this long. And then we talked. He goes, man, I couldn't breathe on it. So
Oh.
he came off pretty good.
Could not touch the problem is it drove out of the corner pretty decent. Going in the corner, soon as I would roll out of the throttle, the thing would just like dive and
Rotate.
rotate, and I'm like, woo.
You need big tires on the left.
I was all the way up to fourth with it that way.
You were gingerly going in, boy.
Yeah, that was my biggest complaint talking to Corey. We got done with the night. I finished. Max's highlight of his life was he passed me on the last lap. So Max gets 7th, I get 8th.
I knew that was brewing. I knew it. And it brewed hard the next day.
Yeah.
He had his sights on you hard. But
So
yeah.
he beats me by 1 position, and I was telling Corey, I don't make excuses. I could have drove better. It is what it is. But I said we got to go to work on this thing. We
we
need
got to tighten it up.
I can't drive it this way. I'm not even. If we can't make it better, there's no point in us even being here. You know.
Uh-huh. Big tires on the left.
No. Night 2 comes. I was going to pull up night 2 results. We can go right into hobbies if you want. I can continue this. So night 2 comes.
Let's go into hobbies.
More moisture on the track night 2.
What was the deal there again? Did we have a little bit of cloud cover for a while?
I don't know. They did a really good job of keeping moisture in it on night 2.
The track just looks dark. You know, it just, like you were talking about Dickinson, it might look dry. Just the eye test, it just looks almost like Knoxville, just sticky.
It is a
dark
darker dirt too, so.
There's that moisture, or there's like a water feature off a turn too, so that in your mind thinks, is that feeding water into that track? Is that bringing ground moisture up?
Yeah.
How close is that water to the track?
Yeah, it's a ways away. I don't think it affects it, but nonetheless.
It's a darker dirt up there, though.
Yeah, it is a darker dirt. I wouldn't call it black,
it's not black dirt. It's a darker dirt.
Going that direction. So.
Yeah.
And again, the best friend is the sun goes down. So, yeah.
So night 1, I didn't change a tire. When we rolled, that car was sitting next to the Quonset at Iverson's farm. It got loaded onto a rollback tow truck by Brock, hauled to Minot, went through it the best we could in the short amount of time that we had, left the 4 tires that were on there, and that's what I raced night 1
This thing's been sitting outside for 2 years?
Or longer.
Well, no, it's been inside. He puts it inside in the winter and when he has room, he puts it inside. So really, in all actuality, I'd say it spent probably 80% of its life probably inside, and it got moved out of the way so they could use the Quonset, whatever.
for
Then he'd
summertime
put
stuff.
it back in.
Yeah.
But all winter it would be inside. They wouldn't let it sit outside and whatever. But the tires, so going into night 2, we seen there was more moisture. Corey and I made the choice, let's just change tires. See if the hockey, they were so hard you couldn't even like dig your fingernail in it because they've been outside in the weather and whatever. So change.
And Max's you can.
In Max's you can, yes, in Max's you can.
Okay.
But they're brand new tires. That's what killed me in this whole deal. I'm looking at these tires and I go, they're brand new. How do I take these off? Well, when they're
Dry rotted, just hard, and
just Just aged.
Aged, sitting out in the
Yeah.
sun, whatever you want to call it.
Not dry rotted, not weather checked, just
I think
rigid.
if the hobbies had that grinding rule, maybe we could have ground them a little
Yeah.
bit
Knock the shell off.
yeah. So we decided just to change tires, and there was a little bit of tack. I started outside front row, drew way better, and I go out there and I'm racing hard. But
Hold on.
huh?
You're on the outside front row.
Yep.
Who's on your inside?
I don't even remember.
I just want to know about that green when it dropped. Go back to the night before. You're not lifting. You're hammer down.
Well, I have a little bit more experience than little Max does.
Because you want to.
My
You want
nose-
to win to that turn one.
I want to win to turn one. The pole sitter was Michael Wilson. I in essence, you've raced a lot of years. When you're on the outside, you're not necessarily ahead of that guy, but you want to make sure that they're not going to squeeze you. So you
want to make sure they see you the whole time,
You're
so they
gonna
don't
have-
want to squeeze you.
You're going to have
You can't
you're going to
help.
be on them per se. You're going to be on their
You're actually going pretty quick because you're
Right.
you're on the you're
Yep.
farther out, so you're actually starting to almost get to go too fast, or you're going to start slipping. But you will do whatever you think you have to do to make sure they can see you.
Yep.
You always want to be seen,
Yep.
so they don't wall you, because if they can see you and wall you, it's on them.
Yep.
If they can't see
So-
you, then things get weird.
And that's the trick. You got to have your I'm down here. You got to have your if you have your left front at the back of their right front, you're too
you're
far
in
back.
trouble.
You're in trouble.
You're almost out of eyesight.
Yeah, you have to be. You almost have to have your bumper 6 inches in front of theirs. You're not
I was just going to say, I would aim at trying to look like you're jumping.
exactly.
But That's what it looks like from the car, but that's not what it looks like
Right.
from the grandstand. So in
Right.
the car, you will want to do the outside front row correctly. You will want to actually think you are jumping by that 6 inch or a foot, but you're not.
right.
But it looks like you might be, but you're not.
It
So
feels like you
that's
are.
Yeah, it feels like you are. It feels like you're doing this, and it's actually dead like this. But if you think it looks like this, you're like this.
Yep.
So to do this, you need to do this.
So who finished second in that race?
In the heat race or what?
The feature.
Which night?
Your race, the one that you
Second
won.
night.
Yeah, second night.
We're
talking about
Diesel
the feature,
Raynard.
right?
I'm talking about the heat race
Okay.
first.
Yeah.
We're
Heat race.
talking about the car setup and stuff. So all we
So
changed
he's
was
outside
tires.
pole the second
outside
heat,
pole.
new tires.
Yeah, put new rear
Different
tires on. Go out there. It felt about 5% better.
It's still free.
It on a tacky, like you could almost hold it wide open all the way around, and I would go in the corner, and when I went to set the car would just go wing. It just be in. I almost spun that thing out in the lead 3 times.
On the stock car, we'd hang 200 pounds of lead on it right now. So, they can't hang lead. So hobbies cannot hang lead.
I come in from winning that heat. I come in from winning the heat. I jump up on the trailer super fast because Max is out there. He's winning his heat. I said, how cool is this? Max and I are going to win our heats together. I come crawling down from the trailer because we're parked over right as you come off the track.
Yeah.
So for me to go.
They're off of 3.
Yeah, we're off
of
of
3
turn
and
3.
4.
So Max wins his heat. Corey comes back from the grandstands, and I look Corey. I go, hey, I got to go up and redraw. Max and I got to go redraw. I go, this thing's undrivable. I am,
After winning the heat, you're saying that.
I am not going to win the feature with it the way it is.
It's free.
Something is wrong with this car because,
It's extremely free.
So you're wrestling a bull and you're still winning.
well, the track position was in my favor. The hammer down, the tackiness in the racetrack was in my favor. I was able to compensate. It was 5% better with tires on it and the tacky racetrack.
Yeah.
And having grip. I shouldn't say tacky, having grip.
You were still easing her in carefully.
Yes.
There was none of this.
We go up to redraw, and
Lo and behold.
Corey Hawksprung goes to work on the car. I'm giving all the credit to Corey. We're up redrawn, and we had a lot of fun that night. You probably didn't see it when we were redrawn.
I was listening a little bit. I was working on my stuff too.
We had a lot of fun. People were stealing Frisbees, and Max stole mine, and somebody stole Max's, and then
the
Max stole
top 2 redrew. No, the top 3.
top 2.
Top two redrew.
redrew.
So okay.
But we did some Frisbee stealing and whatever, and when we got to the end, I had it was kind of like the Travis Hagen deal in Minot. He gets the one that's left over, and it's the one, and that's how I ended up, as I had the one. And I took a deep breath, and I was as excited as I was nervous. Because this car is not drivable.
Because you could dump it going into one.
I'm free.
I'm free.
Any help, and I'm going around. And I got to slow down to get there. So.
I know I can't run the bottom with the car that way. I knew I couldn't do that. I had to keep it up on the top and try the momentum, but I started on the bottom. So we get back over to the trailer, and Corey and Mike Hagan are standing together. And I said, ooh, this could be fun.
Mike could be good help.
Mike, yeah.
Mike could be good help.
Corey and Mike, or mainly Corey, Mike come over towards the end of it. Corey found that the left front brake caliper was seized.
Sticking.
It wouldn't release.
Oh.
So you were dragging the brake the whole way?
The left front brake was? Well, that would make sense because the left front brake is dragging. As soon as I lift for the corner, if I roll out of the throttle, it's pulling that left front back. And what is it going to do? It's going to make me free, right?
Yeah.
Sitting outside caused the caliper to freeze.
Yeah, just being dormant.
Not used.
Yeah.
So he gets it to, they have.
Is that a rotor?
Yeah, it's a front.
So would that have been
Disc
glowing
brakes,
then?
so
Would you have been able to see it glowing?
Yeah, must not have been dragging enough to get that hot, but it is sticky.
Well, you couldn't spin. You could not, you had to use two hands to spin the tire with it up in the air.
It should have been turning red then.
Yeah.
So,
I never looked at it to see if it was turning red. Nobody noticed it was turning red.
Well,
so.
you can't see the rotors as good with those wheels, probably.
Right. Yeah, with hobby stock wheels, they're a little bit different, but.
A little bit, yeah.
So Corey gets it, released.
Broke loose.
Broke loose. And Mike and Corey are sitting there, and Corey, if you touch the brake pedal, this might go out, and it ain't going to go back in.
So you're going to have the same thing you had. Don't touch the brakes?
Don't touch the brakes.
Meaning it would seize again?
Well, then it would go back in and wouldn't come back out because it's got a sticky spot. He wedged it back. He wedged the piston back to loosen up the brake
to let the wheel roll free.
And it would be unapproved to pull the caliper off or maybe some of the pads. So
you have to have four working brakes.
Got to have four working brakes. So.
And it would work.
Well, so
for tech-wise, if I pushed the brake pedal, it was going to work. But as long as we pushed the brake pedal after the race.
So you go in knowing you can't be touching the brakes. Well, that's how you drove it.
I went into that feature.
You were going in gingerly.
And I did not touch the brake pedal, but the car handled way better on corner entry.
Yeah. Other than you were just going in what
Straight.
I would call conservative.
Yep.
But then, at about the 1/3 mark, you were able to actually be in pretty good control. But they were nipping and kind of hunting
Diesel
on you.
was right there, man.
Yeah.
He kept seeing him come
Some sightings
come
underneath
in,
there.
come in.
So just stayed focused on your game.
That's got to feel good. I made reference to Austin Doe and Adam Goff. When you're riding the top and they get the momentum on you on the bottom, but then the high line gets you back.
It's pretty sensational how that can work.
It's one of them deals. So I didn't see his nose. I didn't know. I'm not a signals person. I don't have anybody in the stands giving me signals. I don't even look for anybody to give me signals. So I think I kind of fell asleep out front a little bit. I was running hard. Then with about 10 or 9 to go, I seen that nose come flying in there. Oh, crap, they're here.
Yeah,
they're here.
That's the wording.
And I said, okay,
here.
I need to pick it up. Well, then I went 2 laps without seeing his nose. I went.
So you thought what you picked up was adequate?
Yep. And
so
then
before you saw his nose, were you running? Were you saving anything? Were you giving
not saving a thing?
I was as hard as you can.
But could have maybe fallen down a little bit just because you hadn't been tickled.
Right.
You hadn't been challenged.
In my mind, I was still running hard, but subconsciously maybe I backed off a.
Well, you're not. You've told yourself don't hit the brake pedal. It may be free forever.
The brake pedal thing.
So you're not using brakes. That is hard to do. I don't know that I can. You did.
It's.
Impressive.
So then,
I didn't know this part.
So then 7 to go. I remember looking over there, and I'm like, can I hang on to this? Because I seen his nose again, and he was always showing it in turn 1. He was always driving it down in turn 1. So I was like, is he getting out of 4 better than me? That's, my mind was, is he getting out of 4?
He was in the middle on both ends.
So I tried to diamond 4. I tried to come down to maybe if he was using the momentum and coming up, I was trying
him
to
off a little bit.
Yeah, pinch him a little bit.
Pinch him, force him to lift.
Yeah.
Force him to air.
If that's where. And then I didn't see him again for a few more laps. And then all of a sudden, 3 to go. Here he comes with the best run he's got. And I'm like, oh, man, what am I doing here? I'm going to give this thing away.
Yeah. That's what it looked like. Now I know you're not using the brakes. Huh.
So then I actually moved my corner entry down probably 2 car widths in hopes that I was maybe going to get in his way a little bit.
Well, right at the point that you're talking about, the problem is now you have to ask yourself, are they just messing with me so they can
Right.
rail me on the outside?
Right.
Or is it real? So now we got to do another lap to see if it's real. So I think you got 2 sightings.
Yeah, well, there was 4 or 5 times I seen him below me.
So it's like, yeah, that must be real. I'm going to have to come down.
Then I didn't see him again. And I finished that last lap or whatever, and I was like, cool. Went back and watched the video. He was right there.
Yeah. When you said you saw him coming out of 2, I'm thinking you should have seen him coming out of 4 because that's where I thought you were seeing him because that's where I was
So do you
sitting.
think that you would have been faster if you would have used any brake? Could you?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I think he would have been faster had he been able to use brakes that were working properly. Yes. Well, you should have been able to charge better.
You can charge the corner more. I was backing up the corner
at the flag stand. You had to if you weren't
mean
using
lifted.
the brakes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
coasting it in.
I was coasting into the corner, trying to.
Was there ever a point where you thought you were going to blow it off the top?
No. One time I went into turn 3 and got up in the dust. I thought things were going to get pretty hairy right there, but I was able to angle back down and come out of it. But there was a fine line. So just for people to understand, DOT tires, we're running tires on a hobby stock that you run on the street.
Yep.
They react differently to rubber. There was rubber out there from the A-mods. There was a strip of rubber out there. They don't react the same.
They don't grab on?
No, they do not grab on.
They're icy?
It's like they don't heat up enough to grab on, or I'm not 100% sure what the reasoning is, but I was taught this down at Fall Nationals down in Hays, Kansas, that year that I won. That thing was locked down rubber, and we go out there for our feature, and I get done with it, and I win it, and somebody goes, man, it was slick out there. And I go, I thought there was rubber. I didn't even feel it. That's kind of what Estevan was. I was trying to run in the clean, where it was nice and clean.
Yeah. So
And
you don't have no dancing salt on it.
he
Dirt.
was racing down in the dust. Diesel Raynard was down in that. I thought it was dusty down there, where he was.
And he did have a little bit coming off, but he was pretty adhered just the same.
Yep.
So
Yep. So I
thought Dirt Wars was a great success.
great weekend.
Yep. Yep.
I wish I could have finished better on night 1, so I could have maybe been up there for the championship.
So did you
overall.
tap the brake and did it lock up, or
I obviously used the brake.
Getting to the scale
Getting
and
to
all
the.
that.
yeah?
Or you don't scale, but getting
vic-
to tech or victory, yeah.
I haven't even checked it. We loaded up so fast. It was
We
10
had
o'clock.
weather coming in. And
Yeah.
It was a good victory lane. I loved your emotion.
You never know when the last one's going to be.
You
Don't we talk
you
about
don't.
I've never seen your eyes more wide open. You were,
That's because he didn't use the brakes.
It's so hard
just learned
subconsciously
that.
not to use the brake. Like I'm telling myself
That
every
is hard
time,
to do.
roll into the corner. Don't use a lot of brake. Don't use any brake. My
Yeah.
foot. I tried to lay my foot flat. Normally my foot's resting up on the brake pedal.
For the emergency.
Left foot brake, right foot gas.
Yeah, 2-footing it.
Do I think there may have been more lap time? Number one, I think I'm a faster racer when I'm behind somebody and you give me somebody to chase.
Yeah.
So I think if I was behind Diesel, I don't know if I would have ever got him. He was fast enough.
He's pretty good.
He was.
That's pretty
I
good.
probably would have never passed him, but giving me that something to chase, I may have. And with some brakes,
To chase him with brakes, I think you'd
Right.
have been fine. To chase him without brakes,
you're limited.
Yeah, your hands tied.
You get the top and the top only
you need to
without
talk to
without brakes.
Yeah.
I was stuck. I drove turn 1 and 2. I didn't want to do what Wilson did the night before, so I knew I had to get a good start, and I wanted to basically
What did you do again? You just
drive
eased
job.
it up there?
I drive jobbed. Instead of slide job, I just went in the center of 1 and 2 and drove up to the top of the back straightaway.
Given plenty of sighting and plenty of time for a defensive play on you.
Correct.
Yeah.
And halfway down the back straightaway, I was at the very top, and I said, they're going to have to go by me down there. That's my only option because I can't race down
That's
there.
impressive for the car and for you. I mean, the car sat for 2 years. That
But
the
it's
motor, the carburetor, and everything were just.
It was fun to play this. I did not realize you couldn't use the brake pedal. Holy smokes. I knew you were free, but I didn't know why. Dragging
Did
brakes.
Corey put a sign on there, do not touch on the brake pedal?
No, he had a nice talk with me beforehand.
You
before we
tucked
went
your
out.
foot down behind it, so you got to stay there. So.
There's a couple times I brought it up because I wanted to. It'll
Impressive.
in traffic. I'll never do any good with it that way.
Yeah.
So
Oof.
that's one of the reasons why it hasn't been back out. I haven't had time to fix it. I need to put some brake calipers on it. Probably
Freshen
some.
them up. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Get some rebuilds on it.
it's not going to go. It won't be in Underwood this weekend. It won't be in Minot. I'm going to try to get it done next week, and we'll roll into maybe a Williston and an Estevan with
deal.
it.
On the 11th?
That's the
10th,
plan.
11th, 12th, 13th? Yeah.
Are you the man in charge on the mic at the Cole County Classic on the receiver? Are you the
I'm
director?
the race director.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Otherwise,
Yep.
I'd say, man, you got to get that car out there.
Yeah.
No, there's no way I'd have time. We're already Wednesday night here.
Right.
Max,
nights away.
we got Max's car finished up. He should have finished it up today. We got a good portion of it done Monday and Tuesday, so all he had to do was finish it up today. I don't think you're going to see Brock maybe but Saturday at the Cole County deal. Working on the car.
Yeah. We're 2 weeks from kids being back to school. It's hard to believe, but
there's
we are.
another deal. So just because I'm not president, Brock still has to get that racetrack put back together. Because they bid it out this year, and they had different companies put bids in. Well, Brock got the bid. Obviously, he knows what's
involved,
so he's able to bid it accordingly. But it's his job to get that track back race ready. That's part of his bid. So
that's 4 days away.
If they're not, if Friday comes,
Has he started on that yet?
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah.
They put the wall in last night, and I think I haven't been down there. I'm guessing a majority of the dirt should be on it by now.
He's not here, so he must be there.
Right.
So, yeah.
So,
phenomenal amount of work needs to be done around this fair.
So, and that's part of the problem. He's got to get it back race ready. If Friday comes and it's not race ready, or Saturday comes it's not race ready, unfortunately he won't be in Underwood.
Some rain in the forecast, so got to pay attention to that. So.
Yep, and that's what he's.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be the reason why Nodak doesn't race Sunday.
That's not an option.
Yeah. Right. It's been a month.
It's been a month. So to the other classes, it felt good to win up there. The place is so fun to be at.
Yep.
Byron interviewing me in Victory Lane. Byron and I are such good friends. It just means the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so good up there.
I didn't realize. I knew a lot of people knew me, but I didn't realize the amount of people that would even cheer for me if I was in a race car. And then I get out of the race car after I win, and the whole place erupts. And I'm like, these guys even know who I am? Yeah, I mean, it's...
Yeah. I can't hear the announcing real good in the pit stands, but, yeah, we knew what was going on. So,
but, it's...
They knew what was going on, or however you want to say it.
They obviously are way more up on their stuff than I gave them credit for. So even it was fun to talk with Caden Tuchscher and Caden Jortland. We were up there for the redraw, and they both kind of looked at me and they go, "We've never raced with you." And I go, "Good point." So afterwards, we get done that night, and we're driving home, and I get home, and I look back at the deal here. I've raced with Landon Runch. I've raced with Cruz Wilson, Mike Wilson.
Half the field you've never raced with before.
More than half. They've never raced. I've never raced with them. They never raced with me. So it was kind of neat. Like talking with them guys, I put on the Tougher Than Dirt tours. It gives them a whole nother level. So when I'm speaking at the Tougher Than Dirt tour, they're like, well, this guy knows how to race, so I'm obviously going to listen to him.
You got credibility.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen to him,
I just makes your presentation well-rounded. So, yeah.
It might be the last one I ever get. You never know when it is.
Yeah, you don't.
I didn't go in with any expectations to win. I went in to have fun, to race with Max. I sent Dion Iverson a message Monday morning basically thanking him, hey, my weekend, my life, my summer, whatever you want to call it, was made. Max was racing. I was parked right next to him. We were going on the racetrack at the same time. It's you had the opportunity to do it with Butch, right?
A little bit.
A little bit.
And yeah.
And I bet if Butch would be talkative, he'd tell you that's probably the highlight of his life.
Pretty fun. So yeah, it is. Yeah. It's almost hard to put in words, really. You touched on that Max nipped you by one there the first night, and then you trounced him with a win. So, now I'm going to go on record now. That second night, he started right behind you, and he was doing all he could do to keep up. He wanted you. There was no lack of effort, so it didn't happen. But
and his car is so much tighter than mine. Going into it, I thought I was going to have trouble holding him off, but when I watched the video of him out there, he was actually too high. He kept putting his right side in the dust. And if you
I thought he was going to fall off.
Yeah. So, and if you keep putting it in the dust, well, there's nothing to hold you on.
Yeah.
It's worse than having a free race car, because then you go into a wheel spin situation and you just can't, in that dust, you can't get your tires underneath you to take off.
I'm wondering if you didn't find a secret, the no brake thing. If that is part of your arsenal.
You got to have them. You got to have them. It's
the ultimate teacher for momentum.
Without starting on the front row, I do not win that race. I do not have the
you
car.
Have no defense. You have no defense.
I would have been using the brake.
Limited offense.
I would have tested the brake pedal. So that's we'll get it fixed up and back out again.
Get some calipers on it.
Yeah.
Not this week, maybe next week.
Rylan Raynard, pretty cool to watch him win in a sport mod. He picked up a win earlier this year up in Botno.
Yeah.
I think this might be his first one
at home.
At home, yep.
Yeah. At least that we got to see.
Right.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That Botno win was impressive, and this night was too. That
Runge was giving him a run for his money.
Got in there and give some sightings and stuff like that, but that was a good race too.
Their sport mods, they have a whole different group than what we have down here. 'Cause when I'm watching, there's a lot of guys that I'm unfamiliar with that are good runners, but they're all different.
Yeah.
COVID helped them a ton with that.
Yeah.
They were able to build their own crop, and a lot of these guys, Ryland, Keenan Glosser, I don't know about
Keenan's out of a slingshot. So.
Right. Some of these, Ryder Raynard, they come from the slingshots. Mm-hmm. So they're moving up into a higher class.
Already feeding.
Yep.
Feeding the league here, so. Mm-hmm.
But like quietly during COVID, Levi Runge went from a hobby stock to a sport mod. Well, he doesn't come down here a whole bunch, so you're only going to see him up there,
We might see some sightings that we haven't seen come Motor Magic.
Yep.
When their season is over.
You might see a few of them this weekend in Underwood. Who knows?
Yeah.
They might come down for that Friday, Saturday deal.
Yeah, without a race at home, they might.
Yep. Adam Goff.
Adam got there right away. He was on the inside. It ended up being a low track, or at least that's where he won at, and got to the point. Like I say, Austin worked on him pretty hard, but wasn't able to get him. And
that was like a symphony watching that. Just it was good.
Getting the high-low attack on Adam there, but Adam was solid, and even with a late yellow there, it looked like Adam still probably put about a 4 or 5 length on the field.
But it seemed like he got better as the race went on, because many times it looked like Austin was able to come right. I mean, it seemed like he was like 4 or 5 back, and he'd come out of 2 and just swoop down, and by the time they'd go into 3, he was there.
But he didn't have the preferred line. He almost had to go high again to, try to get the roller coaster back on.
And of course, that's where he wants to be. Austin.
Good high line runner, but it wasn't there on the full 180. It was only there on the entrance, and then, like you say, trying to roller coaster off. It didn't because he couldn't get ahead of Adam. He was forced to take the second best lane, which there wasn't. He almost had to go almost back to the top.
So what is the temptation to say when you probably don't have the full track to do it, when you start leaning maybe or rubbing on a guy?
Austin, a clean racer anyway, but there's always risk involved there. You start cutting each other's tires or something like that, and that's not popular. So, but what I saw is that Austin could not get to the left side of him. Adam kept the left side safe, so that allowed him to never rub. And of course,
but he certainly could have going into 3, came up behind him and gave him that little
nudge
and
yeah.
move Adam up a little bit and unapproved, not cool.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're probably going to get away with it. I'm going to go on record. I'm going to say that's not Austin style. He's squeaky clean, and most in that class are pretty clean. So I'm going to say it's pretty clean racing there. So
it was clean racing, but yeah, Adam then continues to get stronger and stronger and stronger. Pulled away and had a good distance.
Yeah, it solid, like Stevens' weekend feature win. Adams was as convincing. Yep, solid.
Gabe Deshaw is starting to play a little bit more in the stock cars.
Yeah.
Been impressive in a sport mod, but you haven't really seen any flashes from him in a stock car until maybe this weekend up there.
Mm-hmm.
A 4th. I think he had a good run on night 1 as well.
Yeah, I know that they've had some
motor
mechanical
problems.
challenges there, and sport mod looks like it's their most interesting idea. But again, we've got some pretty good. We got a good amount of racing left, and it looks like they're campaigning both those cars competitively again. So
once again, great weekend. Estevan Motor Speedway, Brad, Byron, Aaron, the whole group.
Yeah, it just seems like a couple weeks ago we were talking about just being so happy to get back there, and we're already on the last half. But every time we go there,
so fun to be there.
Yeah.
Relaxing.
The names that you were saying
Yep.
there, always welcoming. Always want to make sure, as I said at the beginning, if you need something done, everybody's available. So
yeah,
they want you to race.
Lynn.
Yeah. Anytime there's a doubleheader, we get our chance to run uptown and have our lunch together and catch up. So didn't make it out to the farm to see the garden this time, but we will.
So I'm thinking about this, back to the mod tour, and you kind of knew in advance about Williston maybe and it having to cancel.
Yeah, the weather was starting to get real a couple days out.
But the weather wasn't aggressive in Estevan, certainly wasn't here in Minot. Is there ever any talk and saying, hey, we can't play here, but we know there's a track there, not far away?
I mean,
it's been done once.
It's easy to dream about, and it's really tough to make it happen.
Really?
I mean, to go somewhere else, you mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, share with me again. When was it done?
I'm talking on my tour.
Okay.
Mod tour, I don't believe it's ever been done. Tougher Than Dirt Tour 2019? Or is it 2020? What year did we have COVID?
Yeah, 2020 when we done the next day in Underwood.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it was, I'd have to look. I don't have it exactly, but Underwood was canceled on a Wednesday. The rain went all the way down to Dickinson. We got up Thursday morning. Dickinson was talking about canceling. Ben Seidler reaches out to me and says, we can be ready tonight.
Yeah.
Even
though we rained out last night.
Even though they rained out last night, we can be ready tonight.
We can make Thursday happen. So
I get a hold of Brad down there. Dickinson makes the decision. They're going to cancel. I get a hold of Ben. It's a lot of things to try
to make sure everybody involved knows.
It's easy to do it on paper.
Yeah, to talk about it.
and I got some people that were pretty upset because they felt like canceling one place, racing in another. There was they didn't come because they thought the whole thing was going to be canceled, blah, blah, whatever. We got a race in. That was my biggest thing.
Well, because you got the guys are all ready to play. They're there and they're just kind of out drinking instead.
Yeah, but the argument, they're out drinking. But the argument is so they looked at the weather. The Estevan or the Williston drivers looked at the weather. They didn't make the trip from Williston or Estevan because Underwood canceled. So then they were looking at Dickinson weather. They're like, this is going to cancel. We can go on to something else. Oh, wait, it's noon. Brandon just put races in Underwood again. Well, we can't go because we're not ready to go. Is it my fault?
by the time you've said and done it, you're wondering what you done. So
Exactly.
so I want to touch on that because I've touched on this before, but I'm going to touch again because on that particular race, albeit it was a tougher than dirt, which meant it was state and national regional points.
Yep.
It was no track points. But the stock cars were to run Wednesday night, and they were track points. So Thursday comes, the Thursday deal, we want to race. Okay, well, we're going to race stock cars. Well, now stock cars can't race for track points.
Because it's
a
not on
day
their
later.
scheduled night.
And as I've shared, hypothetically, I don't know this for sure, but some guys take off your scheduled day for racing from work, but they didn't take off the next day. So stock cars ran, and we ran just as a regional state deal.
Yep.
Regional state, national deal, which was fine. That's our motif down there. But nonetheless, we couldn't run that for track points. And as we know with Underwood, we are right on the fence with getting in our 4 minimum nights because we don't schedule a dozen nights. We only schedule 6. One night being tougher than dirt. Now the other night for stock cars being the 2,000 to win deal. We're a 5-night championship track without weather. So things can get sideways quickly.
It's easy on paper. It's easy to talk about.
Easy to talk about.
The behind the scenes, the workings of it. By the time you get to races starting, your mind is going.
You're like, what did I do?
What are we doing here?
What day is it?
It just seems like I remember going to a baseball tournament. They were rained out in South Dakota, and it was the big Babe Ruth tournament. And they opened up the Metrodome, and we got to play in the Metrodome. You know, it was really cool. So just stuff like that.
Well, and again, the intentions are great, but it's just what you find out is just not great for everybody. So,
could you get a crowd in that quick a time?
You guys did get
we
a crowd.
did. I think it was successful. I'm not so sure we wouldn't want to do it again, at least based on the financial side of it. I think that was safe, but we get into the the fine print, if you will, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, geez, yeah, we can't quite do this, we can't do that. We could have ran without stock cars and still had a successful night with just your 2 classes, but. And we were probably down 2 or 3 stock cars for the reasons posted, and those are legit. That's why you schedule. That's why IMCA wants it early. And IMCA protects the racer, if you will, keeping everybody in those track championships. So,
but that's why it's hard when you look at like a Williston canceling on the mod tour, and you sit there and go, well, why can't they just run another night in Estevan?
Yeah, that's a great example. That is a great example. Well, let's just stay here. We're here anyway.
The idea is there. The planning and getting everything to work. I'm not a pessimist. I'm a guy like let's get things to work.
I'm optimistic too, but whew, it's hard. It's just hard to hit all the high points. But man, they're all there when you're doing it. You're like, well, this guy here can't do this and that.
And when you're
what are
sitting,
you thinking? And
when you're sitting in Minot or you're sitting in Bismarck or Iowa and you're watching it on IMCA TV and you're like, why didn't they just stay in Estevan? The weather was good up there. They could have raced just 2 nights in Estevan and gave me my night of racing so that way I could, continue to watch. Most of us, TV crew included, by noon we were down in Williston. So unless the decision is made rather early, I'm not turning around and going back up.
And in this particular case, it would be hard to do it because the weather hasn't happened yet. So,
because we were at the track, setting up TV stuff. We were getting things set up, and then it starts raining.
Yeah, I know that.
And I had a really good night off.
I remember there was talk on the tour that somebody lost a night, but it wasn't raining in Underwood. And it's like, oh, guy. I mean, it sounds cool, but to actually make that happen in a 2-hour period.
Logistically, to make it happen,
yeah,
it's hard.
It's hard. Not impossible, apparently, but wow. So.
To be honest with you, kudos to you guys. I think Underwood is about the only track that could maybe pull something like that off. Because to try to rally the troops in, let's say, a Minot or a Williston or maybe Estevan could pull something like that off.
Yeah.
But your guys' troops seem to rally, and you're going to make it happen. seems like a little bit smaller. It's a big core, but a smaller core.
Well, it's a smaller venue, and you're tougher than dirt's a smaller venue than
Yep.
the Dakota Classic. So that might have been just the right marriage.
Yep.
And with Brad canceling early enough and all that.
Yep.
But
But like to try to rally the troops for a NODAC thing in a 1-day notice or less than a day notice and a 6-hour notice, there's a lot of inner workings. You want me to bring up the P&L sheet real quick, and I can tell you exactly who we pay, and then it's a phone call to every single
I
one of them.
suppose
oh, you're looking at a $20,000 question.
Yep.
We were prepared to lose 5, or are we prepared to only make 5?
Yeah.
Not as much as I thought.
is the
So,
North Dakota State Fair open to that on just
good
a
point.
random
Good point.
Thursday, Friday?
We don't have to go through that red tape, but they might have something else scheduled to where the flicker tail might have something going on that don't want all that race car
Right.
noise going on.
Yep.
So yes, so
There's
I'm
more
jumping
to
in,
it.
but
There's more to it than just let's race.
maybe somebody's got a wedding reception planned. There's no race cars when they planned it.
I wouldn't know a bride that wouldn't want that going on.
Brandon, I'm not the president. Yes, you are. So,
Now we go to
in
Williston.
2020 you are.
Now we go to Williston the following weekend. We kind of had a break a little bit. Didn't have a Friday night show. I don't remember us having a Friday night show.
No.
Mandan was racing.
Yep, the Governor's Cup was going
Oh,
on.
yeah, the Governor's Cup was going on
Governor's
Friday,
Cup.
Saturday. Unfortunately, I didn't watch any of it.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm busy getting ready myself.
I
so.
seen some highlights. Marlon Seidler picked up both wins. Damagala picked up one, and the Wissota Street Stock deal. I still want a Wissota Street. I want to go race with Damagala just because I like racing with the – I feel like racing with a guy like him makes me better, makes him better. He's got that Wissota Street thing figured out.
Oktoberfest, you got time to find a ride.
Maybe. Yeah.
Preston Martin in the Legends seems like he's got it figured out right now. I mean,
And
he's really
he does an Underwood as well.
Yeah, had a good run in Underwood. Had a good run up here in Minot when they were up
Yep.
here, and I looking forward to seeing them here come Sunday. So
Yep.
they got a qualifier coming up here. So, yeah. So Governor's Cup went off. Williston finally got in their 4th race of the year.
Which is crazy to think.
Not easily. so
Satrin picks up the feature win in the hobbies. Pretty good run. He had to work for it because the 69X and the 69, the two 69s, I'll call them, they got out front because the track was worked a little bit and there was a little bit of moisture, so maybe they were able to get out, but once the track started to deteriorate a
well.
little
There
bit.
was rain again.
Yes.
in
Yeah.
the
I was going
morning.
to say, are you going to overlook the
the
elephant in
2
the
hour
room?
the 2 hour delay. I wasn't even going to bring it up. You guys wanted to bring it up, so
Dang. Well, I don't know. At any rate,
kudos to them for
yeah,
persevering
they
and getting
they
it
stayed
in.
on it, and there's no wrong answers here or right answers, maybe however you want to present yourself. But at any rate, they'd gotten behind on some track prep, and they worked hard to do what they could with what they had, and they had a tough situation. Some of us stayed, some of us didn't. But at any rate, they started right around 9:30. Again, I'm going to do my wet track thing. 4 yellows, not counting the slingshots.
Smalls told me that he got home from that race at like 3 a.m., 3:30.
He had a flat
He had a
tire.
trailer tire deal, so
He had a
that
trailer
added to him.
tire.
We did get home a little bit later, but I still thought it was about a 2.5 hour show. So
Yeah, 9:30. They were done
actually,
by
they were
midnight.
done before midnight.
They were done before
a little
midnight.
bit before midnight. So yeah, it was just
Oh.
over a 2 hour show. So
I think I rolled in by the time I laid my head on the pillow, 2:30, 2:45-ish. I'm not 100% sure.
yeah,
I was Han Solo. I had Nick Hulberg with me. Nick and I drove over together. Max decided to go to the fair. Brock was in Fargo, coming home from Fargo. Peyton and Jenny decided to take a night off, and I took the reins of the camera. So any complaints for
Yeah.
Williston camera, it's all me.
I saw you up on the roof. You weren't all wrapped up in a sweatshirt, so I knew it
You-
was you for sure.
Didn't have 26 layers on or what?
I know it wasn't Jenny because I could see your pink shirt still. So, but
Boy, the only reason it wasn't cold enough to put a sweatshirt on. The only reason why I had to, them damn dive bombing bugs that they have coming off them
Oh.
lights.
yeah,
Holy cow, you have to put the sweatshirt on and the hood up so that way, otherwise they hit you. They're dangerous.
aircraft, huh?
That one
So-
was this big. Like it was a dragonfly looking thing. It was this big. I picked it up and threw it at Nick. I thought Nick was gonna fall over out of the booth.
Oh my!
I go, where do they grow these things?
It's all that rain. It's the rainforest out
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that's probably true. So, nonetheless, I got all the races in and go through the winners here. So
Yeah, Darren Medler, Sport Mods. Started 9th, drove kind of experience. I thought Ed Conlon was going to have a little bit
Yeah.
for him.
yeah,
Tried to make some moves.
He's having quite a year.
Ed Conlon?
Yeah.
racing
Yep.
with Tanner, father-son deal, as
Yeah.
Brandon shared, and
I totally get it. After
Yeah.
experience up in Estevan, I totally get why Ed is doing it.
for sure, precious time. So, yep.
Stock cars, Mike Hagan.
Yeah, Mike.
Got to the lead.
Mike and Jason had actually a pretty good race going on there, and I got to see most of it. I eked a third out of that deal. So
I have texting while I'm running camera, not while I'm running camera, in between on cautions and stuff. I'm texting people, and I had somebody text me that goes, "Hey, Jordan's pretty quick on the bottom. If a yellow comes out, this is going to get interesting." You just didn't quite have it. It just
well, I had to line up on the outside on the
Yep.
restart, so that was a tough deal. So,
So
I,
you
was
kinda-
I was in the wrong lane.
you gave up too much ground and then couldn't make it back on that restart.
Yeah, they kind of got away, and I pushed a little bit and ride this thing home. It's been a long day.
Because
so.
you were able to get your left sides kind of down in the moisture. They were sliding through. I don't
Yeah.
want to call it slick, but it kind of slicked off there.
It kind of did
a
actually
lane
dry.
off the bottom.
Yeah, it was a 2-lane track on the bottom half of the track.
Yep.
And it actually did kind of dry off. Mike and Jason were kind of using more of the right rear into that second lane, if you will, and I was kind of crawling around the
Yep.
bottom, and it seemed like it was raced for a while. So, good job, Mike, just the same. I mean, Jason made him earn it. So
I thought he was going to get in there and
Yeah.
nudge him a little bit
I
on
wasn't
that.
sure. I thought maybe I might pick up the broken pieces, so I was kind of paying attention on that too. So
I think they know each other well enough, most likely, that
Yeah, I think Mike would be the last guy I'd want to get physical with.
Travis Hagan, modified feature win. There was some, I know I'm going to get in trouble because I did something on Darn TV that I now regret, but Chris Schroeder wins the feature race. So I shouldn't even say Travis Hagan. Travis Hagan was second, Medler third, thereon. Chris Schroeder wins the feature race. Brandon not even thinking about what's going on, not that he cares, whatever. The first thing that I noticed when Chris Schroeder gets out of the car, he's not wearing the proper shoes. He has dude shoes on.
Oh, whoa.
And me looking at it going, that's awesome. This guy just won a race with dudes on. That was my first initial thing. I even texted my brother, and I said, dude, Chris Schroeder won with dudes on. So when the interview's done, I zoomed in. I took the camera and zoomed right in. It's all me. Schroeder, Chris, Sarah, blame me. There's nobody else to blame. I zoomed right in on the dudes. I thought it was cool. I thought it was neat. This guy you wear dudes for everything. I officially, in my mind, thought, you can wear dudes for everything, right?
just about.
He gets over to tech, and there is a rule in the IMCA rule book. If you don't have all your safety equipment on, it's an automatic DQ. Shoes are one of the pieces of safety equipment that you're required to have on. He was DQ'd. I feel terrible. Not that I was a cause of any of it, because I think he would have been noticed beforehand. There's no way that from my zooming in on it, got back over to the tech area. There's no way. They
I
can
didn't
claim
even
what
realize you zoomed on it. So
yeah, they can claim what they want and whatever else, There's no way me zooming in on it, because I seen their Facebook stuff. Just because I don't comment on Facebook stuff doesn't mean I don't read it. Just so people are aware. I just choose not to participate in that stuff. It's kind of like drinking. But
So the secret's out on how to take Travis down.
dude shoes.
Easy enough. If you could put a unicorn head on at Victory Lane, you just kick your heels off and new shoes.
It was a good finish. Travis and Chris. Travis was right there on Schroeder.
Jordan is speechless. He doesn't
yeah,
have-
it was a good race. It was a good race. Yeah.
Medler quietly having a good year over in Williston. That's the only track that he's been able to race consistently at. Only being
Smallsy got a third, yes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is a buzzkill, though. I mean, you beat ultimately the hottest driver, in Travis Hagen, and that
He wasn't holding them up. They were both going quite well.
Quite well. Yeah. Travis and Chris. Chris had the better car, the better race.
that's saying a lot.
And Chris
in
gets
that
around
right there.
plenty good, and again, it was a track that it took a while to get going on, and just oops.
Yep.
So
I didn't know how to bring it up, but I just brought it up the way I did, just to get mad at me. If you're mad at anybody for zooming in on a darn TV, it's all me. I take full responsibility. So, and I did it jokingly, not to get anybody in trouble. I thought it was cool. Back to Underwood, championship night in Underwood. Going into this
championship
deal
on Sunday.
Going into this deal now, I was kind of asking Mariah and Isaac how you guys were doing the legend points. I thought the legend points were different than IMCA, but I noticed on the points going into it that the legends looked like you were using the IMCA points. I'm not 100% sure.
I know less.
Right.
So, okay.
So I won't even. Glenn Mitchell picks up Australian or New South Wales. Cool guy to talk to. Have you ever talked to him?
I have not.
Cool
But
guy
you've
to talk
talked
to.
about it, so
Cool guy to talk to.
because it's not 10Z, it's 1 Oz.
One Oz. One Oz.
It's not a 0. It's a
One
it's
OZ.
an O.
One OZ.
And we did the chant after he won.
Yeah, he did it. He got you guys to do it with him or whatever.
Ah.
Ozzy, Ozzy, Ozzy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A little ACDC.
Yeah, you guys got it going pretty good there.
But without the melee, Preston was running again out front, though. That was a slap on that front fence. That was a pretty good hit. Preston was in there.
Quenzer got sideways.
I wasn't able to see it. 'Cause I was in the
49
car,
got
but-
sideways. And when he got sideways, he kind of came down the track, hit the 10Z, and they kind of came up. And Preston Martin was running the top and had momentum and had nowhere to go. And you could hear the hit. I had my headset
Crunch.
Yeah.
I had my headset on up in the booth, and I could hear the hit in my headset.
It moved emergency vehicles, so it was pretty severe.
Yeah, it was a big hit.
Yeah, we were in the lineup there, and I seen the stuff moving. I'm like,
Non-wing sprint cars, Dusty Lawson.
Super cool.
Yep,
strong.
super cool.
Strong.
Ross Cummings second. Ross had a good weekend. I believe he got second over in Devil's Lake as well. Miles Tomlinson, Doug McCambridge.
Ross has really adapted well to that class. He's enjoyed racing, and he's really found his spot in that wingless sprint. Him and his dad have come together, and that's
That
what it's all
Underwood
about.
track is getting to be so fun. It's packed. I mean, the stands, you had better get there early, get your seat, and man, I'm getting a nice routine of having supper over in the corner, right in turn one. I love it, man. It's just.
My mom says picnic tables are always busy.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
Sport Mods, Nathan Speeton picks up the win.
We had a couple of
This one here, I
races
think, was
here.
2 points.
Yeah, it was 2-point deal here.
Between
so
Brock and Christopher Zenz.
we had a couple of things that were still up for grabs. Mm-hmm.
And this may get long-winded. We're already at 10:09, but we can just keep rolling. It doesn't bother me none. So here's where I'm going to go with this. So last year, Brandon Beater caused a whole bunch of weird, not drama, questions and animosity and whatever, because he came up with this new way to line cars up on championship night where the top 6 didn't even have to run a heat race. You guys got hot laps and went right into the feature, and we inverted the top 6. So top 6 in points, first starts 6, 6 starts first. You guys battle it out for the championship. That's what I did last year for championship night at Nodak.
Nodak, yep.
And people didn't understand why. I was trying to explain, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you shake it up like that? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Brock Beater, Christopher Zenz are going into championship night. Brock Beater 2 points ahead of Christopher Zenz. IMCA lineup procedure is 3 previous night point average.
Your past 3 nights.
Three
the
most
average.
recent nights.
Most recent nights.
So, Brock had a lower point average than Christopher Zenz did.
In the last 3 nights.
In the last 3 nights.
He has
even
more
though,
total points
Even though he's ahead
by 2.
by 2 points.
His last 3 nights, he's done a little bit worse.
And also, Drew Papke, the last 3 nights, has a better point average than Brock. So that puts – so Drew Papke starts 5th, Zen starts 6th. That's what I'm getting. Brock starts 4th.
Yeah.
So to the naked eye, to the human like yourself, the fan sitting up in the stands, well, this ain't right. Why does the point leader get to start ahead of
second place?
The reason that I came up with my idea last year at championship night at Nodak was to eliminate that. No, you guys know where you're lining up. You're starting. So in this instance, it would have been Brock 6th, Zen's 5th, and so on. Top 6 in points.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I did it at Nodak, because I seen it coming at Nodak.
You get drivers that come in and out, and all
Correct.
of a sudden they're right in the middle of it on an average.
On a point average thing.
But they're not in it on a total point.
Correct.
So right there we need to digest just what was said right there. Your point average is different than your point total. So consume that right there.
Well, let's use Brandon Beater for example. When I show up to Estevan, next time I show up there, I now have a point average because I've raced twice, well, even just once.
Just once is enough.
So now you're going to insert me in there between all the points runners.
Yeah, let's continue. So Brandon has got, what'd you get the first night? Eighth? An eighth and a first. So you're going to have
roughly
a fourth. But in the mix of things, you might get lined up, who knows, second or third.
Yep.
So guy ain't raced with us all year long, and he gets to start 4 rows higher than the rest of us.
Yep.
It's aggravating. It's hard to understand. It's hard to understand.
It is super hard, and some racers don't even understand it.
Most
racers.
Yeah, most everybody.
Right.
Most everybody. So.
But coming on by me being the race director, doing what I do in Underwood, being at Nodak, I've had to learn this so I can explain it to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to clarify why was, in this case, Brock Beater starting a row ahead of Christopher Zenz.
We didn't talk. I know that you had shot it at me, and maybe even Marcus. We didn't get a chance to be together enough to even promote that. And I'm cutting a little bit in front of you here, but I like that because I think as a selfish driver, drivers, when you have full timed a racetrack, and in your case you did 6 last year. More than likely, the top 6 are probably going to also have been there all year long. So you're going to get everybody that's equally invested. Where right now, using you as the example going forward in the Estevan Championship, you haven't raced the last 5 nights. But should you start way up in front on, say, a championship night?
I'm going to be interjected in there somewhere. If I continue to race Estevan.
You could be all screwed up in somebody's 2-point championship race that you don't even want to be involved in. I mean, you don't.
I'm just there to race.
You're just there to race, but you don't want to be involved in their lineup. Yes, so I kind of like the 6 invert. Now, just to stop there and just consume that, take a deep breath, IMCA will allow you on championship night to do no heat races, lining you up straight up with the point leader on the pole and go through it that way. That's also an option. We've never used it in North Dakota, but it is an option.
I'm just letting everybody know out there, is if you lay out a plan for championship night, I stole the plan.
Do it in March.
Well, no, I stole it from Jerry Van Sickle at Marshalltown. That's where I got the idea last year.
On the 6?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Jerry did 6 or 8, depending on how many cars showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you look at the points total, it's clear where you want to do it.
Right. You look at the points, it's clear where you want to
where you want
exactly. And if you lay out your plan good enough and you contact IMCA, they'll let you do it. They want they want it settled on the track the same as the racers do.
Why do you think they haven't tried that? What you just explained?
Because they leave it in the track's hands.
But I mean,
to play out the pole setter up front.
Because that seems fair. He earned it. He's the point leader.
He's
Why
the point
would?
leader. Well, IMCA is constantly trying to promote the
'Cause then
best
that
guys
would've-
in the back coming through,
Because that would have been Brock on the point, and then
Christopher next to him.
Right.
So at that, you would say that even though they got a 2-point spread, they're going to be one apart from each other, and it's probably going to end that way. So I guess I can't give you a clear answer as to why. Again, as a selfish race car driver, if I've been there all year long, I think I've earned that after starting backwards most of the year. I'll reflect on Joe and Dalton. They've had this discussion often, and you constantly, for doing good, you constantly get started back. But when you start back and constantly do good, it makes sense. But sometimes the track just doesn't allow it. Williston had a very challenging track this past week. That could have not worked right, although most cars did go forward. But at any rate, if you mix that in with a championship night, holy cow. So
I chose, when I put the plan together for NODAC last year, I chose to invert the top 6 thing. The reason why I chose 6, because I had the same method or same mentality as you. 6, looking at the points, them 6 drivers were here all year, and I still wanted it to be a race for the fans. You have to balance.
you're still going to put 1 and 2 in the third row.
Right.
It might not be the 5th or the 6th
But they're
row.
not having to bury the 6th row. That's
Yeah.
so many times the points leaders. I did it for the longest time when I raced, full time. You're as a points leader, as a driver that is consistently up front, you're starting 10th, 11th, 12th in a feature. It virtually takes heat races out of it. As soon as you get to the top 4, you're like,
Right.
I'm starting 12th anyways, so it really doesn't matter.
Once you've reached your inverted spot,
Once you,
if you think you're secure there, you might as well just ride at home. No need to beat anything up.
and that's where my mentality came. Don't even make you guys run a heat race. Top 6, you're straight into the feature.
And as Craig asked, why hasn't what I just said been done? Your deal is actually a middle-of-the-road deal. You're still recognizing your full-time racer at your track, at least a good cut of them. I think it would still apply to this year. But you're still putting them in backwards, just not double backwards.
It backfired on me a little bit because Travis Hagen started on the pole championship night last year and walked away with it. So I got criticized.
Yeah.
So it was
But
the
you
championship.
don't know that this far out.
Right.
But you got to make that decision this far out.
And of course, you want your championship. It's the race inside the race, maybe the grandest part of the race. But actually, that championship on Sunday night kind of cost the race because Brock, I think, could have raced a little bit more with Nathan. But he said, "Hey, got it. I'm just gonna settle in at second because I really liked how he was digging on the top up there."
Brock kind of fell into he wasn't going to race super aggressively hard unless he seen a 69Z by him or around him. And as long as he didn't see that, he was going to race his race and not let anybody around him affect what he was doing. His other issue is he's got to get that right front frame rail off the frickin' ground. he
Put a spring in it.
He'll figure it out.
But,
I mean, as soon as that right front frame rail, he could be fast up top. He could roll it. He'd go into 3, and as soon as that frame would touch the ground and a little bump or whatever would happen, the front end would just go straight up the track.
Yeah,
that cost him more than anything. I mean,
Craig, you bring up a great point. Championship nights, I mean, they are a unique night, and I think we go into them thinking it's just another night of racing when it truly is a race within a race. So I get it. Brock knew what he had to do, and if the 69Z was ahead of him,
you would have seen a different Brock.
One car between them was most because he had more feature wins, so he was going to break the tie there. But so I say that because the other classes knew where they had to be too. And Craig, you as a fan might have not seen the racing you thought you were going to see at the fair because drivers were in position to get the job done. Stock cars was that way.
Championship night has the potential to be one of the most lame race nights.
Yeah, I think it is.
Caden Appel in the heat race looked like a wild boar. Just he wanted to run, he wanted to race and won his heat. And get to the feature time, he was driving like he does and heading to the front. And then midway, it must have gotten his mind like, settle down. I'm going to win this thing. And he didn't win the race, but he won the championship.
And he only won it by one
Why
position.
1 point?
Well, but he had the tiebreaker with
With the
feature,
wins.
with the feature wins.
But
So-
nonetheless. it
Because
was
if
a
you remember
one-pointer.
back to Nodak,
So-
I can't remember how many years ago it was, where he lost the
lost
championship
it on
championship night because of, I don't know if it was a spin out or.
I can't remember. It's all.
The high points are right. I mean, it can be a lame night as far as raw racing. It is a very chess move night, and,
Yep.
and sometimes as exciting as chess, because, like I say, everybody wants a track championship till they can't have it. And that's the truth. We just saw it in Underwood, and we're going to see it the rest of this month at the rest of the tracks. So that's what we're going to see.
What does a track championship mean?
What does it mean? I would say that it means that it marks you in history. I mean, you're going to be a track champion.
Is there pay for that?
The IMCA does pay track point money at the end of the year, and they pay it off point position. So a champion's going to get more money than runner-up or third or fourth or fifth. I think they pay roughly 10 to 15 places. Each track does. So there's some of that. I think it probably just represents all the crazy hours you spend racing. If you can get a championship, you got your banner downstairs at Nodak. I mean, it's hanging off the ceiling.
Yeah.
Forever
Forever or whatever.
You get a lifetime of recognition on it. It seems like we maybe judge people by how many championships they may or may not have, or if they have one. It seems to be a watermark
Yeah.
for,
Yeah,
for,
I don't-
for
I
most.
don't- It's in our world, in our racing, we've never set out in May to win a championship. We've always tried to just let the cards fall where they be. Come August after fair break, that's when you start thinking about, okay, where are we at in the championship
Who,
deal?
what, and where?
Do I have
Yeah.
a chance or here, there, whatever? And so winning a championship, I know Brock took it pretty serious because he made it a point to stay home from Williston,
Yeah.
do a little bit extra work on his car. This last week, he did some extra work on his car, changed a couple things, went to Fargo on Friday because he had to pick up Brody in Fargo. So he took the opportunity to race in Fargo, maybe learn some stuff, and then bring it back to Underwood Sunday with what he thought was a really, really good piece, really good race car, which it was no slouch.
Left with the championship.
Left with the championship.
So.
Some of it is, like Brock being himself, like me. I've won in Williston, Estevan, Minot. I've never won a championship in Underwood, so adding a championship in Underwood, checking that box,
Yeah.
adding a fourth track,
Mm-hmm.
is something to hang your hat on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and in Brock's case, he's going with Adam to Super Nationals.
Yeah. Okay.
So being
Yeah.
able to be into that race of champions.
Race of champions, he'll get to participate in more events
Yep. So
with the
that
championship.
that's kind of where it all goes to.
Mm-hmm. I would say that would be a huge value of it. If Super Nationals are in your plans, to be able to go there with the track championship gives you one more event to take a swing at. So that'd be pretty big there. Younger first-time champions and stuff like that's huge. That's
Yep.
huge. Later on, it really doesn't change much, but again, I think everybody wants a championship.
But I don't think
I
you
think so.
like.
I've had a few.
I definitely
I'd
wouldn't
still take one if I
say
could
the
get
night
one.
was lame. I mean, I left there, man, wanting more. It actually got done really early.
We started an hour early because it was Sunday, and me and my track prep stuff and whatnot there. I don't know that I want to continue doing that, but nonetheless, everybody was turned around and going home plenty early. So
I was home by 11, in bed by 11. So
yeah.
and having to work at 6 a.m. or whatever, 5:30 when I leave Minot, I enjoyed being home.
I
at
think
11.
that was probably some of our thinking too, is that we are an hour away from Minot. We didn't want it to be any later than a Minot show.
Right now
and
we're
it
on
was
pace to getting home later tonight than Underwood.
I tell you, it was frying hot in the grandstand. I mean, that sun was just burning. And then when the sun went down, it was like, now I'm cold.
Yeah.
North Dakota is crazy.
So we'll put together the stock cars.
Yep.
It's solid all year long. Will won last year. I won Nodak last year. I think he's leading Minot, I think. So, I mean, he's on track to maybe double up again. Super strong. Adam won that feature. Won it going away. So, again, you talked about the point averages and stuff like that. Adam started on the pole. Not that he needed to, but he did. And was able to take off and run. And run he did.
It is just really strong. He come into victory lane and had the car off and doing his victory speech, and you can just see the steam or smoke just coming. It was just a great scene. I don't know if that's normal to have that type of.
I know he doesn't run hot or anything like that, so it might have just been the situation, the way the air was hitting it or whatever. But Will and Bob Fugeman had a couple point spread there. So
yeah.
So
and Bob was working pretty hard to get up to him. Was trying some different lines. The groove was more around the top. By the time you guys got out there, the middle and bottom was kind of blown off.
Yeah. It was a rare stock car race in Underwood where
Right.
it was high. I wasn't able to. I had mechanical issues that I'm glad I didn't go forward with. But nonetheless, I was surprised. It'd been a while since stock cars had circled the top in Underwood. So,
Hobby stocks, Brenner Grinstead first feature win at the Mclean County Speedway, which I think Brenner would call Underwood his home track. Or
they started there in the trophy class, so things grew fast for them there. They've been in the hunt all year long. It's shown to be their first feature win. There was some contact there with Max. I think everybody survived and talked it through.
There's a wonderful rivalry just brewing in the hobbies with Brenner and Kyler and Caden and Max, and Goldsberry had a great run again.
Anthony was down. Yeah, I thought he was having a good run also. It was a busy hobby feature. Like we share it, that was a 1 point. That was the tightest race of all the classes.
That was Kyler and Caden going in 4 points apart.
Yeah.
It was Max was out front. He could make a good corner and then he'd make a bad corner. He was super inconsistent.
Had some pushes. Had
some
too
bobbles,
highs
some pushes. Gave Brenner an opening. There's no hard feelings between the Beaters and Grinsteads. It's one of them deals. If Max doesn't want that to happen to him, he's got to get faster and more consistent. Not bobble, not screw up. Lift to race another day, as we were talking beforehand.
Sometimes, yeah. We're working with them, and
man, if I'm Max, I'm hearing that having to lift in Estevan to let that Cruz Wilson in, now lift to let Brenner in. I'm like, man, that does not resonate well with me.
It does kind of come with the terrain, though. I mean, when you're behind back here, you're driving for both. I've stabbed the brakes many times. I didn't want to. I had to to survive another day.
My only message is, it took out a whole left front on Max's car.
Yeah.
There's been some grumblings. You said the triangle, Kyler, Brenner, Caden. There's been some grumblings and some complaining by them three about each other. Well, if you're if you're willing to do that, to pick up your first feature win, I'm not saying Brenner did anything super aggressive or dirty.
There was contact.
But there was contact. He drove it in. He was going to make a move.
Hold on. What if I'm not Max Beater, right? What if I'm Joe Flory, right? Or if I'm Mad Mike Hagan.
Well, that's a completely different scenario.
Right.
You can't even put Mad Mike and Max
But
Beater
what I'm saying
in the same.
is someone coming up on me if I'm Joe? Because Joe ain't going to play that. Joe will. If you want to play that, we'll play. So I'm just saying, does Max got to get a rep? Does he got to get? Should he dye his hair black and get a leather jacket? Is he too good of a dude where people can say, hey, I'm going to come up on him. He's going to lift. Joe ain't lifting. Joe's not going to lift.
Well, Brandon touched on it. You got to get faster. So that situation can't grow.
So ultimately, Diesel Raynard was not able to put a slide job on me in Estevan because I was fast enough for him not to put a slide job on me.
Fair.
And what do you
fair.
Okay.
That's absolutely fair.
So are you saying that Max not?
You saw some sightings. You adjusted and didn't didn't let him get that hole.
Max knew Brenner was there, knew Twite was there.
There was some sightings.
He had seen other drivers, high, low. Max got himself stuck in the middle of not knowing where to race. The top, the bottom.
The chess game got a little bit away from him.
He's 15.
Right.
That's what
he's young. Absolutely. Yes. We're trying to give him veteran moves here, and he's working on it.
Yeah.
He's working on it.
It's.
I didn't think he did anything wrong. I think there's room to learn.
Exactly.
And again, the coaching is solid. So you get a little bit of me here too. So, but yeah, we're gonna look back on this in 5 years and giggle because he'll have it figured out. So.
If you're asking, does Max need to get a little bit more aggressive and maybe hold his ground and do this? The problem is he's picking his wrong spots to hold his ground. On a deal like this, you don't hold your ground on something. When a right rear bumper is hitting your left front, you have an opportunity to lift. There's an opportunity.
Yeah. Craig, you're right. You don't want to, but for the point of survival, again, this guy got there because you weren't fast enough. I mean, I got to ground myself with that often. I'm on the brakes all the time. I wasn't fast enough. I let him in, or I let him get beside me, and now I will tell you, I don't care what car it is. The one that goes in the corner first is in charge. So if you're not this, you're driving for both defensively.
But isn't there maybe this is your space?
Yeah.
Well, on a slide job, we've talked slide jobs all year, and the goal is to clear them. Did Brenner slide job clear Max? No.
I'm going to be a little bit more something here. I'm not so sure that Brenner was doing a slide job as much as
they were,
as you say, no quickener in the car and a little bit of push and a little bit of this. And I think he, in the excitement of maybe trying to take over first, I think the wheel got a little bit away from him.
As it kicked it out a little bit.
As it got a little bit away from Max every once in a while in the inconsistencies that you described. And it came to a head right there. I don't even think it was a slider. I think it was just on the bottom and just trying to beat him out of the corner, got him up high and a little bit of hand over hand. They did connect. There's
well, I have the parts on the shop floor to show they connected.
So they connected, and like we said on the slide, you got to clear them. Sometimes it's close. I'll lift and let them in, try to cut back under, but it's close.
In that, it was kind of dangerous because
you got the guardrail coming up too.
Well, if Brenner,
here's my example: Jamestown, Cody Laney, Kyle Strickler. Cody Laney, obviously a very good driver in his own right. So is Kyle Strickler. We always want to say Kyler there for whatever reason. Anyway, but I think Strickler came up on him, and Cody saying, "No, fella." He knew what the risks were. He knew they were going to rub and wreck parts. But I think Cody Laney was saying, "Come on, man. I'm as good as you. Don't be doing that to me." Mm-hmm. So, anyway, that's what I'm just saying. I don't want to give up my ground.
Yeah. Mountain's more of experience in your scenario. Young drivers, both.
Both Brenner and Max are young. Kyler's young.
I don't. Brenner's raced 50 times. Mac probably about on the same number where the other ones have raced 3,500 times type of deal. I'm not taking away from your meanings, but
everything's learning.
Hobbies are tricky without that steering quickener. That's a player in the conversation because they were kind of getting jostled and.
But at the end of the race, the victory lane with Brenner in victory lane was rocking.
Yeah,
he's dented the roof. All the aerodynamics are done.
We got to give him kudos. He's been close so many times, and it's good. Max has gotten one in Dickinson. Brenner's gotten one in Underwood.
Brenner got one last year in Williston, too, I believe.
One in Williston.
He made reference to you in victory lane. I think it was you because he said, "A wise man once told me, you're never going to know when you're going to get another one." And I'm like, man, where am I hearing that?
I think he was talking about the Dirt Weekly.
I think so, too. No, I'm involved in the racing for sure, and it was an exciting moment. They participate well, and they're constantly learning. They're an asset to racing. So
that dynamic that you talked about, though, the Brenner, Kyler, Caden, throw a Max in there. Caden's in there because of his aggressive racing style. He doesn't necessarily he races with them guys in Underwood and Minot, but the Brenner, Max, Kyler thing. if this keeps rolling, I mean, them three are racing together everywhere.
Yeah.
You know,
They don't get any breaks.
they don't get any breaks. So them three, you're friends until you're competitors for a certain amount of time. Then all of a sudden, that friendship gets tested.
The dog days of summer, we're in them.
We're in 'em.
So, we're in
We're
'em,
in
so.
So there's, and I know there's a
So.
little bit of, there's a whole bunch. It's the championship thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's the dog days of summer thing. It's everybody. Max
Wanting to win a feature.
Max feels like everybody's pushing him around. Everybody feels like Max is pushing them around. You know, Max is super frustrated. I have to talk him off the ledge just about every day because he's going to go out there and wreck the world. You know.
As you shared, Max needs to get a little bit more consistent.
Consistency.
Sometimes his same corner is 5 laps apart. So
Yep.
well,
that's the biggest
constructively.
thing. That's the biggest thing.
And the others are too. So, but it's a hobby class. They're supposed to do this on some
Yep.
level. They're not
Yep.
supposed to be the A mods.
Well,
Yeah.
it is so,
So-
competitive, you know. It
So,
just they've
we,
taken it to that level.
we don't want the hobbies to be professionals. They're learners. so we got other classes for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Overall, a good night again.
Yeah.
I had fun.
With that said, Underwood, I mean, we're going into Cole County Friday, Saturday,
yep.
7 o'clock.
Man, momentum
uh,
is just high, and expectations are high.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Weather's looking good. Maybe a little bit cloudy Saturday. I guarantee you we're going to have a fast racetrack like we did last year if that materializes what I'm seeing. And A-Mods will be back. All the classes will be there. It's our Motor Magic, our Harvest 100. It's it's the end of our season. So this
It's the
Friday and
beginning
Saturday.
of the fall specials.
Beginning of the fall specials. I ideally like to see the whole month be that. We're working on it someday because it's warm out now, and it isn't always warm at the end of September. It's hard to believe we're already at this point in our summer. But nonetheless, 7 o'clock. Craig, you've been down. You've been enjoying it. Expect to see the more of the same.
There's going to be people sitting on laps.
Yeah.
They're like, I'll pay my ticket
You
to get
know,
in and sell the left knee.
We're 3
the right
grandstands
knee.
deep, and it's just been awesome. I mean, just to reflect, in the handful of years that we've been doing this, we've come from a sub 100 person show to we must be 500ish anyway each night now, and good racing. Still got that laid back feeling to it. We're not sure what that is. We're glad we have it. But again, the track will be prepped on a damp side presentation. We don't want the grandstand getting dirty. We want everybody to see where they're going and not wear out their tires. So again, in forecast wise, I'm almost seeing what we had last year with a little bit more sunshine. But Williston guys, Travis, Tommy Lee, and all them, Dalton, the Flories are both talking about coming over. So I suspect we're going to see Williston presentation, Estevan presentation. Of course, our Nodak and
God, you're
Underwood
gonna put the
people.
pressure on me or what?
Yeah, I didn't say that, but calipers take about a half hour to put on. So
Oh no.
not that way.
Not
Okay.
that way. I was talking as race director.
Race director. Yeah. Well.
I feel like we have a pretty good system going.
Yeah.
Pulling the
yeah.
cars out, trying to get the cars out on the back straightaway, coming to a stop, doing the victory lane, then bringing them out, doing 2, giving a 2 to go and then a 1 to go, so you can do a wave and then we go green.
Yeah.
It's a pretty sweet little system we got
Everybody's
rolling.
moving along, and no, I like you on the headset for sure. So.
And we'll be celebrating Mr. Schumacher.
Yes.
Yes.
We're gonna come up with something. What are we
Yeah.
gonna come up with on Saturday?
We need to do something there because Glenn is celebrating his 40th year of flagging and also retiring. So, wow, what a staple of our racing industry. We're so used to seeing them that I don't know what it'll be when we don't. I haven't been able to think that far, but you're right, Brandon. I sure hope we can send them off with all the right words and in an interview and stuff like that on Saturday. I hope. Certainly going to touch on it during your drivers' meetings and stuff like that. And with that said, Glenn's retiring. He's not going to stop going to the races, and of course he will always be front and center at our track anytime he wants to visit, which I expect to be all the time. So,
God, I think about this stuff.
Mhm.
Wayne Johnson, 40 years of racing. Glenn Schumacher, 40 years of flagging.
Yeah.
do I even tell these guys that I'm only 41?
I know.
Hey,
I
man.
started 40 years ago. I started when Wayne did. I did.
And it doesn't seem that long, you know. I mean, the 80s
Yeah.
are my heyday. I mean,
Exactly.
that's my wheelhouse, and it doesn't seem that long ago.
Yeah, it was only what 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Right, 40. Wow.
Wow.
So yeah. So Glenn's gonna flag his last race, like we're talking there. That alone should be, you know, we should have
we'll come up
Fox
with
Sport
something.
1 there for that. So
Yeah, Saturday night.
Whatever you ordered for burger previous, you better just double it because everyone's going to be eating those burgers.
They're pretty good burgers.
Oh, my gosh.
yeah,
Yes.
the kitchen's been just awesome. So Glenn was a major builder of our concessions. Worked in steel forever, and we used his expertise to guide us along, and it's an awesome building. So thank you for everything, Glenn, and we'll thank you this weekend some more.
Yeah, whatever we come up with, let's
overdo it.
let's overdo it.
Let's overdo it. Okay.
Friday, Saturday, Underwood. Hopefully everybody's there.
Playground.
Sunday,
Sunday.
back to the Playground of Power. A different show for those that are expecting the high-flying IMCA mods, the stock cars, the sport mods.
They're still resting.
They're still resting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just giving everybody, like, there's some mod guys that have complained, some stock car guys. I've heard some grumblings out there. You're giving us another night off. Whoa, time out. Last year, nobody raced this night.
Mm-hmm.
This night last year was an enduro.
Yep. Right. So
it's not like
we all good.
we all good.
Yeah.
The nights are still the same. Their nights are still even. Everybody races.
You know what I'd like to
Well,
see?
we want them in Underwood anyway. We're going to
Right.
wear you out in Underwood.
Yeah, we're going to wear you out in Underwood.
Well said. That is a good
We're
point.
going to wear you out in Underwood. So.
But after the Cole County Classic, the Legends their big show is at Nodak.
It's a
700?
regional qualifier, $700 to win. And in order to do anything in the national stage, you have to race one of these regional qualifiers.
And I say if there's 40 Legends that show up at Nodak, throw those babies all on the big 3A Smile at the same time. That would be cool.
He's never been the race director. But that is a novel idea. Huh. An Enduro Legend feature.
You go ahead and come and take Bruce Rudland's headset from him on that deal.
Bruce is listening. Hi, Bruce. But yes, no, that's going to be a regional qualifier. What else do we got? We got hobbies.
And
Sport compacts.
That's it.
The three.
Just three.
Okay.
We tried to make it, or not we, Nodak. I remember
Mm-hmm.
in the conversations when I was still going to the board meetings, trying to make it the Legends show. You know, the Legends are the focus.
Mm-hmm.
Hobbies and compacts are there for like filler,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as a support classes. So here's my thoughts. Mandan, 43 Legends at the Governor's Cup. Fargo, 24 Legends on Friday night, the same night that Mandan had 43.
Oh, boy.
Wow, 60-some cars
Between two tracks that
on
are
the same night in
on the
North
same
Dakota.
night.
So the Aussie won at Mclean County on Sunday, and he said that the best Legend racers in the world are here.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The best competition Legend racers. He told me that in Minot when they were up here in June.
Mm-hmm.
I was over there. I had to be that mean guy and go tell them they couldn't park where they parked. They had to back up and turn at an angle because they were straight. But he said the reason why they race up here all summer is because this is where the best Legend racers in the world,
Wow.
the best competition is right here in North Dakota.
Better than the South, better than North Carolina. It's here. That's
what
awesome.
That's what they say.
They'd race on pavement.
Yeah, I think they do dirt. They do
dirt down there
yeah,
too.
down there too. But yeah, well, yeah.
And they
That's
said that
cool. I thought they were a good show in June. I thought
Yep.
they were a good show
Hopefully-
in June. So
Preston Martin's got everything going straight again because he'll be a favorite of mine to.
yeah, he got
Boy.
second here in June.
I've
Drew did all the right things, Papke, to beat
I've
him.
been
so
angling. I've been trying to angle and pry open a door to maybe have me a Legend ride on Sundays. So we'll see what
Ooh,
happens.
Tricky. Again, you're not retired. You're just sometimes inactive.
I'm
inactive.
very active in the sport of racing, just not driving the race car.
Yeah.
I like seeing hand
Inactive duty on the drive.
Cole in the legend.
He shared that he had gotten a pinhole in the oil cooler in Underwood, but he had one at the shop, so I see nothing holding Cole back from being here Sunday. So he's adapted to the class quickly. So he's adapted quickly.
So he'll probably be. So hopefully the drivers come over. They give Underwood a chance. Maybe we'll have 40 plus in Underwood.
We've been pretty high already. So
and then we roll 50 to 60 plus in Minot.
Whoa.
Which would be pretty dang cool.
Then you could do the 40 in the A and have a couple B mains if there.
I mean, I'm not
40 car A.
Now I'm going to disappoint everybody, and we're going to get 25 or something. But at the same time,
I can't remember what we had in June. I thought we had like 28 or something like because we ran them all, and I know it was more 26 maybe.
And it was a bear being the race director. At that time.
Well, yeah. So
tell the stock cars and the mod guys that the legends are the guinea pig for the ramp that might be on the front stretch because Brock doesn't have it quite straight.
Well, that's a chance for the track crew to just see exactly how the transition's doing on the front straightaway. So
yeah, it's
get a week.
The goal is to get it good right out of the gate.
Yeah.
But
all the lasers in the world sometimes trick you. So, but it'll be ready the following weekend, which will be kind of back to normal. So.
Yeah, it's second
school,
week in
school
August.
Starts
already.
at August 16th at my house.
So that'd be not this weekend. Next weekend would be our last non-school weekend.
The 11th, 12th, and 13th, that 3-day weekend. I think we
have a Williston, Estevan, Minot.
Yeah, that's the last weekend before. I think going back to school is bigger than the time change.
And then and then you guys are going to have to, when they go back to school, you guys are going to have to console me and bring me another cake and make me feel good about myself because I have a senior this fall.
We have seniors.
We have seniors this fall.
You've been dating yourself all throughout the show.
You're a young dad, and I'm an old dad.
Racing with all the youngins in Estevan.
This getting older and having your kids grow up thing. Nobody warned me how tough this was.
Yeah. Ooh. You look around. Am I alive?
Did you say 25-year racing career?
That number seems small compared to having an 18-year-old daughter. I'm just letting you know.
It's hard to organize it. I'm doing it every day. Yeah. Congratulations, man.
Yeah. Suppose we better play a commercial here for the upcoming schedule, Texas Red, huh?
Yeah.
We're back.
Thank you, Jeff and Justin.
Yeah, Texas Red, they bring us the upcoming schedule, so cool commercial they sent us to play.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming up on that time to start bringing in the crops.
Yep.
Yeah.
The only two things we haven't done is Fear the Rear Moment of the Week. I don't know how we're going to do that.
I'm not going to kid you, man. We've had such a gap here. I'm unorganized.
3 weeks of Fear the Rear Moments.
Of everything.
Maybe the moment of the week is a bad moment. We haven't had a show for 3 weeks. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell anybody.
I was proud of our locals in the modifieds and proud of Adam placing well in the stock cars on that tour. For Travis to get, which seems hard to believe, his first Dakota Tour win. That's big for me and big for him. And it's surprising it's his first. It should be about his 12th, but we're working on it. So he's young enough; he'll still get a whole bunch of them. But so congratulations to our locals: Cody, Travis, Aaron, Steven. Guys that were running really good. And they were running good before that. You could see and feel it coming. So I'm glad they delivered. Didn't make too bad of a storyteller out of me. So congratulations to those guys and other guys that were doing good just didn't have some fortune. And everybody can't win. So unfortunately. So but the tour is come and gone again, and North Dakota was well represented. I'm proud of everybody. So that's my moment.
What's yours?
Well, Fear the Rear obviously it can be the drivers, but I want to give, a heads up, a fear of the rear for all the different tracks and the people that represent the tracks and do what they do to put the tour on. John Gartner, everybody just working so hard to make everything to make the tour what it is, because it's literally fantastic and worldwide nation, and Estevan coming back on, and it just was great.
It's something fun to hang our hat on in North Dakota. You can being in Indianapolis and talking to some racers. That one guy I did talk to at the bowling alley in the pro shop, he knew what the Dakota Mod Tour was.
Wow.
And for somebody over there in sprint car land,
it's a nationwide crown jewel.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
People know what the Dakota Mod Tour is. They know it's IMCA modified. Sometimes they forget about the stock cars. But they know it was a modified tour. And it takes a long time to build that.
IMCA has shared with me that it's important to them.
Yes.
I mean, it's super nationals type important to them. So,
and
not that, but I mean, it's in the same sentence. So,
and the broadcast numbers show it. I had a privy to some of the broadcast numbers for the racetracks and stuff, being on that side of things, and the amount of viewership that they get and the amount of money that each racetrack gets. I think I'm not trying to throw Barry Braun under the bus. Barry Braun broadcasting it was shorting the racetracks a very large amount of money. And they are now getting their money that they full well deserve from the TV partner, from IMCA TV, and as far as I know, every track is happy with that cut that they're getting. So, because it's upwards of $7,000 to $8,000 per track is what they're getting, which is big numbers in the world of world of putting on racing. With the purse that the Mod Tour puts on, that added money from the TV helps them make it a successful financially.
That's security that almost makes the decision easy.
Correct.
Because at $25,000 to $28,000 window to put it on, you got a lot going on.
And there was contracts involved. Everything was in a contract. When that contract came up, that's when IMCA TV came in. So it's not like it was.
Nobody got muscled.
Nobody got muscled out. Nobody got anything. It's just. It was time for a changing of the guards, kind of like Nodak. I'm no longer president. New time for a changing of the guards. So it's
and there's dialogue and how the TV works and how the money works and grandstands and So, but those numbers there make it a way more friendly conversation. I remember when it was less than 500 a track in the beginning.
Right.
That was easy to fight.
See, now
so
after
that was
hearing
easy to
that
fight.
information, Jordan's thinking, I'll be the backup plan if there's a rain up at Mclean County.
Well, I was going to go there earlier because there was some talk. Well, we run down to Underwood, and we were somewhat interested, but the logistics were just impossible. But
it's just the TV money is
I'm
something
way more
now.
interested at $8,000. We are. We want a tour night.
Those ain't official number. I'm just throwing the range out there.
North of 5, we're interested.
And I'm hoping that the Tougher Than Dirt Tour gets there one day.
Yeah.
Right now, the Tougher Than Dirt Tour is hovering around that, 150, 170 viewers a night, which gets tracks right around that $1,000 a night, and it's a plus.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the more out of staters that come, the more TV people that watch.
You're right. Their areas want to watch.
Yeah, the areas want to watch.
Sure.
So. But then you have to run the fine balance, and we go back to the hot sauce topic. We have too many out-of-towners, too much for the tours. We don't need it's
all relevant.
It's 3 hours and 40 minutes into this. Let's not go down that path.
Less than 4. The bid was high. Less than 4 hours.
Well, we still have one. High. What's your hot sauce topic of this week?
Oh. Yeah. I'm not ready. Somebody got to spit one out and get me started.
Well, this one might be maybe don't want to bring it up, but
we make people wait till the end of the show for the hot sauce.
They'll fast forward it.
What from a fan's perspective, and what I love about you both, you level me out. Sometimes I get worked up, don't know why I get worked up, and then Brandon flicks me in the nose and says, "This is why." Well, if I can take it back to Nodak on our night, which was wonderful, loved everything about it, and obviously I talk about the Florys quite a bit, fans of them, but I was cheering Dalton on, and it was in his race.
In a B main.
Yes, and he went in, had a flat, seemed like it was a hot pit. Fellas got working on it, and then they threw the green, and Dalton was visibly upset that they didn't wait for him. And as I did my research, apparently there weren't hot pits during the B mains.
So, from my understanding, obviously me being down in turn 3 with a wireless camera, I'm not involved in anything, but I was over at the pit meeting. It was spoke at the pit meeting that there will not be hot pits for the B mains. Now, that was something that was spoke all week at the pit meetings, that there was not going to be hot pits in B mains.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was some miscommunication. Somebody went over and asked the gate guard to let pit crews to the middle. They said, are there hot pits? They assumed yes, sent them to the middle. That's where the confusion was. I guess the message in this case is attend the pit meeting and listen.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was watching either, Craig. I was in the grandstand with you, and I obviously the Florys know how to race. That's not a question. So I knew there was a miscommunication here. I did not know what it was until after the races, and I heard the same that you had. Of course, I didn't attend the pit meeting because, like Craig, I was in the grandstand. So, and either they weren't paying attention. I know they're always at the pit meeting because I see them sometimes we talk. So I don't know if they were busy with cars and missed it, or I don't know. But something was slipped there. I've been assured that it was said. So, and the fact, so my discussion was the same as you described. Well, they let them go in there with pit equipment.
So and some of that is
and I'll just stop there. Obviously, we're full of volunteers. I get it, and that was just a human mistake. The drivers' meeting was clear, and decisive in ending. The fact that there was a volunteer maybe miscue there doesn't really change to me the format.
I call it planting the seed of doubt. Okay,
so
I deal with it at work all the time, racetracks all the time. We can tell if you're my gate guard to let people on the track, and we make a decision. Jordan and I are running the pit meeting, and we tell them we're not doing hot pits, and you sit over there and you hear us say we're not doing hot pits on the B main. Okay, all it does is take one person to come up and say, hey, man, I'm going down to do hot pits for this B main. That seed of doubt is planted in your mind at that point.
God, did I hear that right?
Did I hear that right?
Did I hear that right?
And then you don't want to be the asshole.
You're like, you're all loaded up and ready to go. You must be right.
You must be right. Go ahead and go.
Yeah.
It's the seed of doubt. And when it's a volunteer-ran track,
we have good volunteers.
The volunteers are great. It's nothing against any of the volunteers.
But they're human.
They're human, and when that seed of doubt is put in there, they're making the decision in their mind that they think is the less controversial. They're not going to stop somebody. You're all packed up.
These guys are too prepared to not know what they're talking about.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah. So
miscommunication.
All parties involved. No finger pointing.
Nope.
But I learned that the driver's meeting was that. I could have easily overlooked that. I'm not a hot pit guy, so I just head to the pits.
Do you think that the relationship with Dalton Flory is fine?
With who?
With Nodak.
Obviously, with Nodak?
Are we talking with Nodak or Justin Medler, or which one?
I just want to make sure that Dalton comes back and races with us.
I don't have that answer, but I know that Dalton and Justin Flory were Justin Medler and Dalton Flory were standing right next to one another in Williston on Saturday night, talking about the racetrack, about the Williston track, what to do this. There would seem to be zero animosity that I could see.
That's good.
Yeah, that is good to hear. So, sometimes things are just messed up. So it's just best to forgive and forget about it and move on. Dalton had shared that he's going to get back in his A-mod and stuff like that. So, and we touched on them earlier that, maybe some different things are going on there. Racing's demanding, so it just is. And as I've shared, that tour is just too big for me personally. So So and they might be experiencing some of that on some level too. So
Well, I appreciate the explanation.
yeah,
That's a very
that is actually a good hot sauce deal, because like you, I'm like, what's going on here? And again, I know they've raced too long to be completely mistaken type of deal, but
and
somebody didn't catch it in the driver's meeting.
I think what ended up happening is they didn't do hot pits in Jamestown. And John made the comment that they want to be consistent for the whole tour. So they just said, well, since we didn't do it in Jamestown, we're not going to do it the whole tour. Because I think it would be different than years prior where they did allow hot pits in the B main.
Yeah.
But because of the weather, there was a huge storm coming into Jamestown on Saturday night of the mod tour. And we had to rush through that program.
Really, this needs to be addressed for the future, because I've always been under the understanding no hot pits in the heats, but in the features, and B features are features.
Yep.
So, and a night having weather is different than the entire series, for me.
100%. But I remember the conversation, or I remember something being said. They wanted to keep it consistent. All the way through.
Because those B mains are battles. I mean, they're battlegrounds, and there was a lot of attrition in that, and B mains could have helped, but nonetheless, it was clearly stated. My
hot sauce topic.
They won't be any slower for it.
No.
So
my hot sauce topic, and it's going to be quick and painless. I'm putting the tracks on notice now. Championship nights are coming soon. Plan your starting lineup order for your feature. Get it planned now. Don't do it the day of.
Before the people are in place.
Yes.
Everybody's got 2-3 nights left. There's plenty of time to figure it out.
Plenty of time. Nodak, you're 3 weeks away or 4 weeks away. Estevan, you're 3 weeks away. Williston's 3 weeks away.
Couple nights away, so yeah.
Make your plan accordingly.
Yeah.
If you would like to consult Jorn and I, we are available for a small fee, maybe a hot dog or something, right?
That's pretty high, but okay. So, well, yeah, I mean, it was good discussion earlier, and I think everybody involved would like to be a part of that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer, but if you're concerned, now's the time.
It's just my
because all three of them are going to have championship on the same weekend.
Exactly.
So
it's
it'd be nice if they
bang,
were all
bang,
similar. So
I thought you were going a different direction, that you were asking the tracks to take notice because the 5 hobby is coming to your area.
gonna wreck your points race.
The 5 hobby stock might stay home that weekend just because I don't want to get involved in anybody's points championship races. It's best that I just stay away that weekend.
I wasn't
just out of respect for everybody. I don't want to get involved in any of them. So, because I've been there, done that, and having an outsider coming in and affect a championship is the last thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was almost happy to just not be a part of the end of the Underwood deal there.
But
yeah,
for you for the racetracks that have championship nights in about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I think it's that same weekend.
At the longest. It's the last weekend in August, all 3 of them.
If you want to do your lineup order the same as you've done all year, go in with that plan. Go in solid with that plan. Don't second guess it.
Yeah.
If you want to do something a little bit different, plan it out accordingly. Get a hold of IMCA. Make sure they approve it, which they'll approve just about anything as long as you have it planned out.
I vote Jordan's suggestion. Put the leader on the point.
That's it. That's in writing. But at the same time, then do that. It's never been done in North Dakota. I don't know if it should be or shouldn't be, but nonetheless, I don't know. There's tracks in Iowa. They don't even run heats. They just run the 3 features.
Yep.
You could start at 9 then. My kind of track, but but at any rate, so that would be interesting. But yeah.
I'm just putting it out there now. Status quo.
I kind of like that 6 backwards deal. I think that's right in the middle. So,
championship night last year, I know people forget in a hurry. We had some rain, we had some weather, so we had to pack the track in, and then we went out there and ran the features. Just features. We were in and out of there, I think, an hour and a half or something just for the feature races.
You hit on something really important that for most people, they're not very exciting. championship night's exciting for 2 or 3 guys in each class, and that's the truth. So,
Yep.
It's still a regular paying night and all that, and more than likely going to be won by somebody not in the points race because, as you shared, it's a race within a race. It really is. But we get that out of the way. We head to the fall.
Most people in a points battle, if you told them they were going to invert the top 6, leader going to start 6th, 6 starting 1st, you would take that over the normal points invert any day.
And even as a spotty driver, because you don't want to be a part of that. You're going to line up
behind them,
4th row back. So you're at least able to watch the show before you get involved.
so like, let's
instead
say
of starting in the middle of it, you're involved.
Let's say Estevan, Williston, Minot, that championship weekend, they all adopt that. Top 6 up front, everybody else starts behind him. The 5 car can roll in there and not affect anything other than coming up through the field. And when I get to the front, or if I have the opportunity, I can make my decision at that point. Do I even want to get involved?
How badly do you want to get in the street fight?
Exactly.
Right.
Did they decide it amongst them already, or do I just kind of hang back for a top 5 and let this play out?
To play on Craig's deal, throwing it straight up, the other side of that is that if you do the straight up and you haven't been there yet, you're going to start dead last. You might say, maybe I don't want nothing to do with this. It's just too far back.
Right.
So that's the balance. But again, you got points guys.
But if you do a normal points invert, I might roll in there and start between the points leader and the second place. I might start right dead in the middle of them.
Kind of like the Brock and Christopher deal.
Yep.
And you don't have brakes.
Well, I will by then. The next time that car hits the track, I will have brakes. I had brakes. I just wasn't using them. The brakes worked just fine.
They just wouldn't let up.
We didn't test it. Maybe they did let up.
Max, what do we got? So,
with that, final thoughts.
Do
we have a new record? Have we went 4 hours yet on a Dirt Weekly?
I don't think so.
We're 3 hours and 50 minutes into this.
I thought it was going to be the 3rd of August before we got out of here. We really did.
Yeah. I got most of my car work done today because I didn't think there'd be anything left to tomorrow. You said you didn't have to be in until 11. I thought we were going until breakfast. So.
No, I said my first meeting's at 11.
Oh, dang. Cole County Classic, the Governor's Cup started. Cole County Classic. We're going to get back to some weekly racing, and then we're going to go into our September stuff. So, final thoughts. The days are getting shorter in the evening, so things are coming back to where I want to keep Motor Magic at 7 o'clock, not 5 or 6 or whatever. That messes things up. Keep the track damp. So
I think they're doing 7.66 this year.
Is that what it is?
Pushed it an hour.
7, 6:30.
7.88.
Better yet.
The Saturday night, why not?
Yeah, nobody's going anywhere. So
I
just cut into Brandon's drinking time.
that heavy
That'd
drinking
be okay.
that I do.
That'd be okay.
Yeah.
All 3 of them. One.
I told that group.
Half.
I told that group that I was out with in Williston that my drink quota was doubled for the year after one night with them guys. So.
Yeah. Mine would have been too. I ain't got much going on there either. So keeping Dilly down in Washburn helps.
It was a fun night to get to hang out with other people. Shout out! I got to give a shout out real quick. Mariah coming on as the scoring.
Yes.
Chassis helping out every once in a while in Underwood, but Mariah kind of taking that over. Huge.
Yeah.
Isaac coming up and hanging out and helping with the scoreboard. That's the second time he's come up and help with the scoreboard thing.
Very much appreciate
when it's not functioning. Any sort of help up there. There's a lot of stress, a lot of things moving at one time, and when you have people there that are calm and can just do what they're doing, it just calms everybody. So.
Yeah. Nice.
Kind of the people behind the scenes there in Underwood that maybe don't get mentioned a whole bunch.
Been nice to have them. Their help, and they understand the game too. They know the sport, so.
Makes a guy like you not even realize the scoreboard wasn't working properly.
Hey, I love that scoreboard, but man, the racing's so good at it. I don't really
Did we lose
watch.
some communication with it through my race pass?
I never had it all night.
Oh, it didn't, huh?
No. Isaac.
I seen it was quiet early on. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, Isaac came up and started punching the buttons like the high school basketball coach that he is, and he knows how to just manipulate them buttons to get the numbers to show up there. And I just go, we're gonna go green out of 4. Isaac's just doing what he's doing over here.
No, it's just so much fun in the stands, man. I didn't notice that I thought they were working.
Perfect.
Marcus invited Darn TV down, so we'll be there this weekend.
Nice. Nice.
I don't believe we're going to have a Hallberg. You'll have Grover on the microphone, myself doing race directing, Jenny on the camera. So
Yeah.
I'm going to try first. I'm going to race direct and direct you be the director of the broadcast,
Ooh.
the producer. I'm going to sit there and do the graphics and then, well, I shouldn't have to look there so much.
Make sure you got that front stretch camera rolling tight. There was a lot of controversy last week, man.
We keep knocking it off.
Well, the other one's right there. So.
He's still on the repair table. He's on the operating table.
They sent the wrong cord. I had to send it back. Okay, for Jordan, Craig, Brandon Beater.
4 hours.
Thanks for tuning in for those that stuck around this whole time.
See you after the Cole County.